Yeah, I'm very spiritual.
I know there's a lot of Christian Indians, aka Hindu Christians, but what are you? I mean, do you study any meditation work? What are you doing for your spiritual sustenance?
You ever play the game Street Fighter?
Yeah.
Naveen, why are you gay?
You know that
Vida, baby.
you know that guy Dalsim in Street Fighter. That's
Yeah, the yogi.
Yep.
Street Fighter.
Are you doing yoga?
On Sega Genesis.
Yeah.
I'm traveling.
You are doing yoga? You're doing yoga?
I do yoga a lot, yeah. I mean, usually I'm able to get from my house down the road just by floating with doing yoga.
Oh, you're that kind of a guru. But you're divorced, right? You didn't have a successful marriage.
Yep.
Did you kill your wife like the Indian guy did?
No, I didn't kill her. I ate her, but I didn't.
So, King Nav.
Don't do that. What's that guy's name that everyone loves so much? What's
Danny.
his name? With an S?
Danny, you're...
Child,
Sadhguru?
Sadhguru, yeah.
Yeah, Sad Guru, the Sad Guru guy. Someone said that he did that to his wife.
Yep.
Danny.
Allegedly.
Danny.
He sacrificed his wife for his own.
Danny, you're married, right?
Yes.
So why do you... What could you tell the King Nav? Like, what is the success of the love in your relationship?
It's like that Gin Blossom song. If you don't expect too much from me, you might not be let down.
So what you're saying is you're easy to love because you're stupid.
Sorry to hear that.
No, just have very low expectations all around and your life will be very happy.
What do you think about that, King Nav? Were your expectations too high or were your wife's expectations too high?
I do not know. Get it? Donut?
So do you think that your divorce is a result of your anger? I mean, do you look back on your divorce and regret it and say, I wish I could have figured out a different way?
Not really. I don't look back in life on anything.
But you do realize, I mean, do you accept any guilt or blame for your divorce?
Nope.
So you're just a very narcissistic, self-centered asshole who doesn't give a fuck about his ex-wife or his kids?
No, I do. Actually, I take care of them very well.
But you're divorced, doesn't it? Isn't that like a punch in the gut to know that you don't have your wife and kids, in your presence? No. So you fully you're totally nirvana'd out, huh?
Yeah.
It doesn't sound very convincing. The point of this room, King Nav, is this is a hypnosis room where we read.
Sorry to hear that.
It's where we read books in order to make ourselves smarter. Have you ever said anything intelligent on this app?
Nope.
I mean, I've heard you say a lot of political insight and commentary, and that to me is a form of intelligence. I think you're very accurate in your assessments, and you seem to know a lot of information from inside sources. So, you're a treasure trove of information, and I've been recording you for years, and I've liked everything you've ever said. So thank you, sir.
No problem for the free content. But I demand 50-cent royalty per view.
Good luck, because I get 0 cents. So in the future, you'll get a negative percentage of a maybe a small percentage. But that's neither here nor there because we're not making any money from you yet.
Notice the last word.
Wouldn't it be funny if everything in civilization was completely erased except for John's recordings, and then future societies had to reconstruct what life was like based on the content?
Zach, are you still chopping wood in the forest?
In a manner of speaking.
That's a good thing to abracadabra. No.
King Nav, look at my PTR at the link above, Lovejoy Art. That is me
I'm driving. Sorry.
that's me in a golden um, uh, fox. What's that guy's name? Anyways,
Do you think Bitcoin will break 100? And um, is it a simulated holographic universe?
no, it's a real universe. But you're so stupid. You've never even seen a picture of a supernova.
Sorry to hear that.
Where were you when we were getting high?
Where were the Jews when you were getting high?
No. In Champagne
You said.
Supernova?
You said,
In
where
God?
were Jew when I was getting high? That's what you said.
Where were you?
Jew. That's what I heard.
Okay, King Nav, I'm putting her in the goo because though Danny, I really like you. I do want to let King Nav say some things before I conduct this free, 3-minute hypnosis for him. King Nav, any other talk therapy or dopamine feedback looping you want to get out of this conversation?
Nope, but I want to let you know I'm going to go talk politics in Roger's room because he just pinged me like 15 times. So.
Okay, fantastic.
I'll talk to you guys later. It's nice talking to you.
Sorry to hear that.
Have a great day.
Sorry to hear that.
Oh, did he leave? Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. Danny doesn't on the stage. I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, Danny, if you want to come back, you can come back up, but I am actually going to read a book. I'm sorry, but I do not want to hear you really talk about anything.
That's fine. I understand. I'll recover.
I mean, what I would like from you is commentary on the readings and try to listen and take this as like a break and a pause from your day here on the shit app and make this a real meditation for yourself because I'm reading to you real powerful spiritual hypnotic words which should increase your IQ. So, Zach, anything else you want to say before I start the reading?
My IQ has reached its maximum at 75.
Listen, if you're
reading is good. I was liking the Zohar podcast too. What was that?
Yeah.
That was just on YouTube. I typed in Zohar audiobook.
Where's Rav, dude?
Hi, Abby. Welcome to the room. I'm about to do a hypnosis for you. And if Danny interrupts me, I will quickly put her in the goo.
Can you maybe do hypnosis that makes me feel better? I feel really bad.
Why do you feel bad?
There's a lot of things going on.
Okay, I'll read you Tanya. So take the take the deepest breath of the day. This is a trance meditation. You're going to become trans after you hear this. Be careful. I warned you. This is called distracting thoughts. Evil thoughts can even arise during study and prayer, and if they do, you should ignore them entirely and avert your mind from them immediately. Do not try to examine these thoughts, for that is a task for the righteous in whom evil finds no root. But the evil you experience is rooted in your own selfishness. Do not be dejected because of this. Rather, redouble your efforts to concentrate your mind, and in this way fill yourself with joy and gladness, realizing that distractions arise because your prayer and study are approaching selflessness. When distractions arise, ignore them, and answer not fools according to their folly, lest you too become a fool. What if you cannot ignore them? Then humble yourself before God and ask God to rescue you from these turbulent waters.
My husband's here.
Okay, this is the subnotes. Psalm 124:5. It is one thing to be distracted by negative thoughts during regular moments of the day. But what if they occur during times specifically devoted to spiritual practice? Does this mean that you are failing in your practice? Not at all. In fact, it means just the opposite. Our sages taught the greater the person, the greater the Yetzer Hara, evil inclination. Talmud Sukkah 52a, that is the Yetzer Hatov. Good inclination is always balanced by the Yetzer Hara, and you cannot escape from one to the other. This is why few sinners are beyond redemption, and few saints are beyond temptation. The challenge is not to eliminate the negative thinking, but to deal with it effectively. For the righteous, the best way to deal with such thoughts is to examine them thoroughly, and in so doing to discover that they too are part of the divine non-duality, shlemut. For the in-betweener, however, such examination may result in becoming obsessed with such thoughts. Hence, the best way for the in-betweener to deal with the negative thoughts is to let them go. Do not feed them either by resisting them or by entertaining them. If they come, let them go. Yet there may be times when you cannot ignore the madness in your mind. Even then the thoughts can be useful, for they remind you of your limitations and humble you to the point where all you can do is cry out to God. And that act of complete humbling is often enough to awaken you to your true nature as a manifestation of God. Okay, these are the other sub-notes. It says, Timtum halev, a dull heart, a heart numb to all feeling. The Zohar, Book of Splendor, was written in 13th century Spain by Rabbi mystic Moses de Leon, a mystical commentary on the Bible. The Zohar is the foundational text of medieval Jewish Kabbalah. Zohar 3:168. Some obstacles are simply too great to be taken on directly. They need to be broken up into smaller, more manageable pieces. This is true of a dull heart. You cannot simply will your heart to feel, but must arouse it slowly, bit by bit, by changing those thoughts, words, and deeds that dull the heart in the first place. Talmud Berachot. This doesn't mean that you will pit good against evil, but that you will realize that just as evil grows to match the good, so now good will grow to balance the evil. This is called a dull heart. Just as an active and distracting mind is one challenge, a dull and lifeless heart is another. To arouse a dull heart, follow the advice of the Holy Zohar. A wooden beam that does not burn should be splintered, and a body opaque to light should be crushed. How is this done? By observing the foolish in your thoughts, words, deeds, and dreams, and by reading the lives and teachings of the saints. In this way you will tremble and sin not. That is, you will rouse the good against the evil. In this way you discover that the other side also serves God. Offering you another way to awaken to your unity with God. It is merely being granted permission to confuse you with false and deceitful words in order that you may be more richly rewarded. Okay, these are the subnotes. You know, Danny, I think you're funny, and the thing about Clubhouse to me is if somebody interrupts me, it's like a reminder to me, like, don't get angry. There's no reason to get angry. And, you know, I'll let you talk. I mean, I can take a break from reading. So, you know, it's just kind of to your detriment not to try to listen to some of this professionally. I think you're just a very immature girl, which is cool, and you're funny, and that's okay, and you're married, and you don't need rectification. That's the thing about women is I do this work mostly for myself and for men. But if a woman should happen to enjoy what I'm reading, well, then that's fantastic. I'm just teasing you, Danny. Zach, if you want to invite her up, bring her up.
I already invited her. Abby has to invite her now.
Oh, okay.
Okay, this is the
Why
last.
isn't it talking?
Danny, this is the last part of the commentary. You do this by comparing your thoughts, words, deeds, and even dreams to those of spiritual giants. This will awaken a sense.
Is Dimitri here? Is he even here?
He's in the room, yeah. He's listening, I guess. Dimitri, you want to say anything?
Yeah. How do you feel about that, Dimitri?
Okay, I'm going to continue reading. Here we go. This will awaken a sense of trembling. You will be shocked by the lifelessness that has entrapped
Why
you.
isn't he talking?
Because he's probably either a bot or something else. Why do you keep asking? Do you know?
No, that's her husband.
Oh, really? Okay, this
Yeah,
is.
I think he's like doing something weird.
I think that's like a fake account, probably.
No, he's new.
Let me see. Maybe he just doesn't know how to use it. He's only
I
got 3
told
friends.
you, it's a Greek man with a small package. He's just not answering.
Oh, I see. That's funny. Look at your PTR. That's cool. Okay, I'm going to finish this reading. If you interrupt me one more time, I will kick you back to the group.
I don't know if he's mad at me.
Okay, here we go. It's almost finished. This will awaken a sense of trembling. You will be shocked by the lifelessness that has entrapped you, by how far you have fallen into the despair of the Sitra Achra, the other side, that aspect of you that falls prey to selfishness and alienation. And this sense of horror will in fact awaken your innate sense of goodness, the Yetzer Hatov. In this way, you will come to value the other side as yet another gift from God. For without the harrowing darkness, there is no value to the hallowing light. Just as Yetzer Hatov balances Yetzer Hara, so light balances darkness. Each goes with the other, and together they partake of the non-duality of God. God manifests as the other side, Sitra Achra, and the shells of self, Kelipot, in order to provide you with the dark against which the light can shine and be known. God gives rise to foolishness, that you may discover wisdom. God allows for dullness, that you might tremble with life. Everything is as it is to provide you with the opportunity to see what is. Okay, these are subnotes. Those who suffer from timtum halav, dullness of heart, cannot address their situation directly. They cannot simply rouse themselves to love of God or neighbor, for dull hearts lack this kind of passion. The temptation of timtum halev is to deny how dull your heart is by focusing on the sins of others. The dull of heart rarely sin. They simply lack the energy to do so. Their error is to mistake the absence of temptation as a sign that they have defeated their evil inclination, Yetzer Hara. They see the struggles of others to resist temptations and imagine themselves to be morally and spiritually superior. Their pride masks their dullness and excuses their lack of spiritual maturation. The Alter Rebbe's antidote to dullness of heart is to cultivate true humility by imagining yourself in the place of those for whom temptation is a serious challenge. In other words, he wants you to use your imagination to set your evil inclination ablaze, like a flaming fire, Hosea 7:6. This may sound counterintuitive. Isn't the evil inclination our enemy? No. On the contrary, the evil inclination, properly understood and employed, is the catalyst for tshuva, or teshuvah, returning to God and godliness. The desire of the inclination is not for evil, but to arouse your compassion for self and others by awakening you to the presence of evil and the suffering evil causes when it isn't yoked to the inclination for good, Yetzer Hatov. Placing yourself in the shoes of others awakens you to your limitations, even as it humbles you in the face of theirs. Okay, just heard a couple gunshots. This is called cultivating humility. Moving through the dullness of heart requires you to work with it rather than against it. Working with it, you must be humble before everyone. Being humble, you must not judge others until you stand in their place. There are those whose situation surrounds them with illicit delights and places them in constant temptation. And there are those in whom temptation burns like a flaming fire. You cannot know the fierceness of their struggle to resist temptation, for the inclination toward evil is unique to each of us. Therefore, weigh and examine your own place and measure your own capacity to pass this test. These are the subnotes. Atzvut in Hebrew means depression. That's atzvut. Kalipat noga. The spark of God is always spoken of as feminine, as are the 5 levels of intelligence and the presence of God herself, the Shekhinah, or the Shekhinah, or She-China, the She-China. This is to balance the masculine language of God and prevent any idolatrous limitations of God as being male or female. So God is essentially non-binary. I told you we're all trans. Okay, this is called working with sadness. As you arouse your heart by facing your inclination toward evil, you may find yourself engulfed in a deep and troubling sadness. If so, do not be alarmed. Such sadness arises from and operates within the shell of self, yet it draws energy from your innate yet hidden desire for God and godliness, and thus kindles your passion for self-transformation. To work with sadness, say to yourself, I feel utterly removed from God, yet within me is the light of God, desiring only to return to God. Let me return the spark to her father's house, where she is united with God as God. Therefore I will cry out to God, and God will end this captivity and reunite her with himself. This is the practice known as returning through kindness. It should occupy you all your life. Okay, these are the subnotes. When you admit you are alienated from God, you are also admitting that you know you are alienated from God, and this knowing can only come from a place that is not alienated. Hence, the feeling of alienation stems from a source of integration. Shift your attention to that source, and in time the sadness will be transformed. Teshuvah or tshuva through masim tovim, literally returning through good deeds. Tshuva is often translated as repentance, but its literal meaning is turning or returning, is far more revealing. Repent means to feel remorse, but teshuvah means to use that feeling of remorse to return to God in godliness. The way of returning to God is through acts of godliness. Masim tovim, especially acts of selfless kindness. Rabbi Shneur Zalman knows the seductive power of sadness to excuse inaction and spiritual sloth. He also knows that to decry sadness, or to insist that you overcome it, is simply to strengthen your sense of powerlessness. If you could stop being sad or broken-hearted, you would, but you can't. Insisting that you should is simply silly. The Alter Rebbe is far too wise to allow sadness to keep you from spiritual maturation, rather than claim sadness as a block that must be removed. He sees it as yet another tool to be used. You are sad and despairing of your ability to overcome selfishness and realize your true nature as a part of God? Good! That very despair can be a doorway to tshuva. Return. Working with depression, atzvut, begins with the imagination. Imagine the light of God, trapped within the shell of ego. She longs to return home to her source, but your obsession with self prevents this. Feel her pain, her suffering, her longing. This is the deeper atzvut, the deeper heartbreak that will arouse you to be her liberator. How? Through masim tovim, selfless acts of kindness toward others. That's called working with sadness. That's Tanya, the masterpiece of Hasidic wisdom. Okay, these are the rest of the subnotes. Masim Tovim, Leviticus 19:18, Talmud Shabbat 31a. According to the Talmud, a Gentile once approached Rabbi Hillel demanding that he teach him the entire Torah while standing on one foot. Hillel met the man's challenge, saying, "What is hateful to you? Do not do to another. This is the entire Torah. All the rest is commentary. Now go and study it." Performing selfless acts of kindness, Masim Tovim, is a direct path to God realization, for it reveals the unity of self and other in, with, and as God. This is the meaning hidden in the command to love your neighbor as yourself, Leviticus 19:18. Torah doesn't say, love your neighbor as you love yourself, for this puts the focus on love. You may or may not love yourself. And even if you do, the self you love is most likely the egoic self of neshama, consciousness that sees itself forever separate from your neighbor. Neshama cannot love anything as part of itself, since the entire purpose of neshama is to maintain the illusion of a separate self. Loving another as yourself moves you beyond self to soul, beyond the isolated ego, neshama, that sees self and other as apart from God, to the integrated soul, chaya, that sees self and others as a part of God. This is why our sages say that turning from self to soul cannot happen in an imperfect place. Zohar 121, 6b. That is a place of fragmentation. Turning happens when the fragmented self meets the integrated soul. While it is the fragmented self that is turned toward wholeness, the turning itself happens in the soul. Okay, this is going to be the last one I'm going to read. I'm going to take a break. It's called Love Your Neighbor. This is chapter 32. To practice acts of kindness is to love your neighbor as yourself. Loving your neighbor as yourself reveals the unity of neighbor and self. For no one is separate from another, and all beings are equal, having a single source in the one who is all. This explains Hillel's teaching. This is the entire Torah. The rest is commentary. Torah's sole purpose is to remove the veils of diversity, to reveal the divine unity, that you might then love the one by loving the many. Subnote, the realization of God in, with, and as all things manifests as indescribable joy. Joy is not the same as happiness, and it is important that you do not mistake the two. Happiness comes and goes, dependent upon the circumstances of the moment, but joy is a deeper sense of the sublime that is sustained regardless of circumstance. God is infinite, unbounded. To say that one thing is God while another is not is to place a limit on God that reduces God to the little God. We are in the habit of saying God is in heaven or God is in me. But the greater truth is that heaven and earth You and all creation are in God and of God, the same way a wave is in the ocean of the ocean. This is a fierce faith, a faith that has nothing to do with belief, ideas, ideology. This is a faith that leaves you with nothing to cling to and nowhere to hide. This faith strips you naked and leaves you exposed to the truth. Alles ish Gott, all is God. Okay, I'm going to take a quick reading break. Hope you're enjoying this, Abby, Zach, Chris. This is Zohar Joy. We're reading Tanya by Alter Rebbe. It's Friday. We're getting ready for Shabbos. It's November 22nd, 2024. It's 12:48 p.m. CST. I'm headed to the gym shortly. Oh. You know, you can go to Chabad and you can spend a lot of time with Chabadniks, but I got to tell you, they're not all happy. I've been to a lot of Chabad and meetings, and you know who comes to Chabad meetings? Some very sad people. Some very, very emotionally distraught people. And that's why they're there. That's why I used to go to Chabad, because I was looking for peace. I was looking for tranquility. I was looking for God. And, then you see the family and you're like, all est good. Or, all is God. It's important to have a family. No matter what your financial circumstances, it's a very important thing. It's not the most important thing, though, but it's a very important thing. I'd say according to this rabbi I know, he says the most important thing is to get married. That you can't have a soul correction, which is like an attitude adjustment, until you get married. Because when you get married, you realize, you submit yourself and you say, okay, we are now the unity. In the same way that you want to be united with God, if you're married, you want to make it work. And that means, like, example, King Nav earlier, he's like a child. And I asked him questions. What's your spiritual journey now? Tell us about your divorce. All he says is, sorry to hear that. He's a robot. He's an AI chatbot. He has no depth of character. He's just a money-grubbing dindu. There's a lot of dindus like that. They're your dentist, they're your doctor, they're your realtor, they're your mortgage agent. These dindus are all over doing the same shtick, trying to make money. And a lot of them ignore their spiritual practice. Now, there are a lot of dindus that are very spiritual. They spend a lot of time in prayer and meditation, and they're generally very good people. But a lot of these dindus, they're just, they're surfing on a wave of stupidity. They've spent no time studying philosophy or God, which is really just philosophy. I started reading the Bible when I was in high school. I may have taken it too literally. Because when it said, you have to go get baptized or you can't get into the kingdom of heaven, I was like, oh, I'm going to go get baptized real quick. I was like, let's test it out and see what happens. Okay, this is called Attaining True Joy. To attain true joy, contemplate God, permeating all things. Realize that this world is nothing but divine glory, and that all things are empty when seen from the perspective of God. God is the sole reality, and wherever you look, it is God and God alone. Just as distinct rays of sunlight are nothing but the sun, so creation is nothing but God, and emptied of all self. When you contemplate non-duality deeply and at length, you are filled with uncontainable joy, and a faith so tremendous as to realize your own oneness with God. This realization is the sole purpose of your existence and the purpose of all creation, that the One should dwell as the many. This is the living faith, as our sages taught, the righteous will live by faith. The goal of the in-betweener is to realize the true nature of reality as the outpouring of divine creativity. Tanya offers many paths to this realization, hoping in this way to help people find a path that works for them. The path of the intellect is the path of contemplation. Remember that the intellect, cycle, has three faculties: intuitive wisdom, kokma, rational understanding, bina, and integrative knowledge, da'at. Let each of these faculties begin to see all things as God. Intuitively, you know that nothing can survive in isolation, that all things are part of the singular system of life that is God. Gauge this insight rationally. Look as hard as you wish to find something that is separate from its environment, other than the environment. The harder you look, the more you are convinced that your intuition is true. There is nothing but the one thing. As intuition and reason align, your knowing is transformed. You are no longer a subject looking at the world as an object. You are the world looking at itself. This realization releases a deep and transformative sense of wonder, which in turn releases an overwhelming joy. This joy permeates the body, heart, mind, and soul, momentarily emptying all sense of self into the infinite oneness of pure spirit. When the self returns, and it always returns, for the goal is not to empty the self, but to have the self realize it is empty, a deep and abiding faith arises. It is a contentless faith, without creed, a faith that allows you to live with humility and a grace, knowing that all is God. Okay, subnote. Talmud Shabbat 88b. The rabbis taught that the intensity of God's revelation was so great as to erase the sense of separate selfhood in all those present. They would die with each word and then return in the moment between words. In 586 BCE, again in 70 CE, halacha, often rendered as law, comes from the Hebrew halach, to walk, and refers to the way Jews lived by observing the 613 mitzvot, spiritual practices of Judaism. Doing mitzvot is the way Jews walk in the world. Tikkune Zohar, Zedacha Talmud, Kehot Halacha. The body of spiritual practices, mitzvot, that compose Jewish spiritual practice is designed to awaken the self to its interdependence with all other selves without necessitating the emptying of self altogether. No mitzvah does this more powerfully than Zedacha, generosity toward the poor. Zedacha is not the same as charity. Charity, from Latin caritas, heart, links the act of giving to an a priori sense of caring. Tzedakah, from the Hebrew tzedek, justice, requires only a sense of obligation to the welfare of others. The key is not to feel first and then act accordingly, but to act first and then see what feelings arise. But tzedakah is the right arm of God. The person who gives tzedakah becomes the right arm of God. The giving of tzedakah is not egoic. God is giving. You are merely the means. Knowing this awakens you to the realization that everything is the body of God. And this is why tzedakah is equal to all other mitzvot, because it awakens you to the unity toward which all mitzvot point. Do you have your Tanya, Zach? Can you read a little bit? Okay, this is called generosity. The revelation at Sinai emptied the people of selfhood, and their souls departed with every word. I'll say it again. Their souls departed with every word. To preserve the self, God commanded the people to build the Holy of Holies in which God's presence would dwell, and where divine unity would be revealed. When the temple was destroyed, and with it the Holy of Holies, the way became God's dwelling place, and spiritual practice became a path to self-emptying. Chief among the spiritual practices is generosity, for generosity is the right arm of God. The practice of generosity is equivalent to all other spiritual practices. Subnote Deuteronomy 30:14, Kehod edition, Asiya, Neshama and the Kelipat Noga. Neshama, your egoic intelligence. Nefesh, your physical intelligence. Ruach, your emotional intelligence. Selfless acts of loving kindness. Asiya, the physical world of action, is the densest of all the worlds and the one most in need of illumination. Just as a windowless room can only be illumined from within, so Asiya must be illumined from within. You are the vehicle for that illumination, and you accomplish it by doing Masim Tovim, selfless acts of loving kindness. In the world of action, only action matters. Feeling is not enough. Thinking is not enough. You must act. And when you act well, your actions illumine the world. It's a powerful book, isn't it? It's a very powerful book. That's why when I read it, I was so happy because I never heard a Chabadnik tell me about it. But it is the a priori of their movement. It's Alter Rebbe. It is most definitely a hippie cultural index. They're basically Jewish stoners without the stoner. You see what I'm saying? It's so psychedelic. It is so psychedelic. It's such a peace movement. And I think that's what a lot of people don't understand about Chabadniks. And, you'll ask a Chabadnik about politics. They don't want to talk about it because they're just in love with God. And there's no reason to talk politics. They think that God will essentially, supersede all the political systems. There's a big problem. It's called government. And, the Chabadniks may have a parallel society, but they do not have their own government. The government in this country owns you. You are printed on at birth with a social security number. Everyone is stamped, sealed, and delivered in a bag out of the factory. Here you go. Here's another taxpayer. Cha-ching! Cha-ching! Here's another taxpayer. Cha-ching! Bagged and tagged at birth with a social security number. But the whole thing is this is a game, and so these types of books should help you problem solve your emotional. Remember what we just said. There's three things: your egoic, your bodily intelligence, your emotional intelligence, your egoic intelligence. This is a hypnosis book. You should really use this book, Zach, for yourself and for others. If you really want to impress me, you will invite me to a room later today or tomorrow or the next day called Tanya Study by Zach De La Ruta from Israel. And you'll be reading Tanya in Israel and you'll feel so spiritually aroused. This is Kundalini activation. This is Holy Spirit work. I don't care what you call it. It is a central nervous system response to the words because it's logical. Everything you hear on this app is stupid. Joy, welcome, my favorite. Me, Joy for all, Joy now. What is my name on this app, by the way? Oh yeah, Joy now. I didn't know what it was. I thought it might have been Joy Art. I didn't use art because I knew people might discover that from my Love Art Joy account, which recently got deleted. Joy, do you want to come up and say anything? I think people that don't say anything on this app are even weirder than the people that do say things on this app. So all the people that don't say anything, like you guys are even weirder. Maybe more deranged, maybe more disenfranchised, maybe more disgruntled. I don't know. Can you put it in the chat why you don't actually talk? The thing is, when you go before a court, you actually shouldn't say anything because anything you say in a court of law can and will be used against you. So when you go to court, just don't say anything. Keep your mouth shut. Let the paperwork, and don't get the judge upset. That's the essence of all magic, is silence. Shh. I plead the fifth. I don't need to answer your questions, Your Honor. You don't need to answer my questions, huh? Okay, now you're pissing me off even more. It just never ends. You see how the linguistic game works? Okay, I'm going to read an occult book by Jack Parsons briefly, and then I'm going to take another break, and then I'll probably read a little bit more, but I'm headed to the gym no later than 1:30, which is in 27 minutes. Yeah, I get it. I get it, Joy. But the truth is, if you can't represent yourself, I mean, maybe you're just stupid. I don't know. Stupid in, like, you know, the ultimate nirvana perfection state. Maybe that's you. I want to say congratulations, but some of us, we like to eat in this world, so we want to hypnotize you into giving a donation to my meditation yoga center. Okay, this is John Parsons. I'm actually going to stop the YouTube live, and I'm going to create a new YouTube live for this special book reading. Invite people to the room. This is another expensive and powerful hypnotic book on the occult. Oh, it should help make you happy and liberate you from your identity. Abby, are you enjoying this? Are you feeling happier moment by moment?
Yes.
Excellent. You know, I wouldn't be doing this without somebody to do the studying with me. So I want to thank you and all the other listeners. It's very boring to read books by yourself. It's very, very sad. When you have no listeners, it's a very sad undertaking. Doesn't feel good reading by yourself. I just got to tell you. So thanks for being here. Okay, but before I start the reading, I'm going to go refresh my drink in the kitchen and come right back. Let me just play for you some recent clips from Clubhouse. This will be about a minute.
All right.
Because, you know, I record everything on my cell phone, the audio. It's a lot of fun. Okay, this is, the name of this one is called Diego and Noira, or Nora.
It's like not even monetized for anyway.
It's like guys looking for that late night food. Exactly. It's not the same. It really is not.
Exactly. But no, seriously, I think you have a captivating personality. I think you should showcase it more. And I'm really big into the honest with you.
Well, why don't you be my producer? I'll pay you, you know, what I can afford to pay you. Help me become a YouTube publisher, a successful YouTube publisher.
No, have to.
He'll do it pro bono.
I need pro bono.
I'm just giving you advice. I don't want, to have anything, to do with your YouTube channel in terms of like officially, but I'm just giving you advice. You know what I'm saying?
So yeah.
That's really all it is. I can't get like people say, oh, what's the code? Like what's the cheat code to bring YouTube? There's no cheat code. Just make content that people want to watch.
That's the biggest problem. You're not making content that people want to watch. But the fact you haven't gotten that message after 4 years, it's a little bit concerning.
Right.
I mean, shouldn't you go look in the mirror and say that to yourself? What have you created? You've created nothing.
At least make good thumbnails. And
See, now you're just getting defensive.
Oh, the thumbnails. Like, you always hear about the thumbnails.
We're trying to help you. The thumbnails is like, that just is extra work that you're just like, it's not working, brother. Like, what are you doing?
What was that short that you did? Edmund, where you were saying, please follow me?
Yeah, that one.
You know, Edmund, that I have.
Kind of funny, isn't it? Because it's like, if I'm just recording him and he's telling me what I'm doing isn't working, well, he's projecting there. Listen, this whole app is about projection, and that's why reading books here is so important, because everybody's projecting their own inefficiencies. Okay, so I'm going to read to you this John Parsons book. I spent $150 on it because this guy said I had to have it, so I bought it. And it's been pretty good so far. It's called Freedom is a Two-Edged Sword, Essays by John Whitside Parsons. His magical name is Oriflame number 1. I'm just going to go to a random page. It says Basic Magic, Fundamental Theory and Practice. Editor's note. In developing coursework for the Witchcraft, Parsons developed his introductory course P1 entitled Basic Magic, Fundamental Theory and Practice, and described as having 14 sections with assignments. A synopsis of its contents reads, Introduction to the Witchcraft, Laws of the Ego, the Nature of Love, the New Eon, the Origins of Religion, Basic Rituals, Magical Weapons, Equipment and Symbols, the Nature of Man and the Gods, Angels, Demons, and Elementals, Invocation and Evocation, the Understanding and Expression of the True Self. This synopsis corresponds exactly to the introduction in parts 1 through 4, after which the draft becomes fragmentary. Where appropriate, subtitles have been drawn from the course synopsis and provided within editorial brackets. Introduction to the Witchcraft. We are as old as man. A million years ago we sang the first cradle song. Against the first fear, our power. Against the first evil, our spells. Against the first illness, our remedies. We are the oldest religion in the world and the strongest. We were with the first man. We shall be with the last. Under our protection, with our encouragement, man dared the universe, conquered the forest, conquered the beasts, mastered the elements, for a time even himself. For hunting and crops we knew the spells that gave man the belief, the faith to avail. Against the terror by night we raised a barrier, against the demons in the soul of the tribe. We made availing rituals. Under our guidance came up from the beasts. There was no force strong enough to mold him and to protect him from himself. Long ago, in a catastrophic time, man became separated from us, from the forces of his secret nature. He threw himself upon his intellect, upon the sterile gods of authority and reason, from our religion that was living, as only live and love are alive. And he turned to dead gods, dead creeds, dead dogmas. In his agony and terror, he built terrible cities, temples to the death he had let into his soul. He made demons, infused them with the breath of life, enticed them into his heart, and then did a devil dance across the pages of history. And his demons put on the masks of all the virtues, and took to themselves all the crowns, until in his whole world he knew nowhere to turn. We waited. Then the flames of the stake upon the rack under the lash we waited, and carried in our hearts the secret seed that can, in its hour, redeem the world. We waited, because although we have the power, it is unlawful to use power where only love can avail. Man cannot be forced to his heritage. He must come to it freely of his own will. In the weary centuries where love was denied and trampled, truth hunted and hounded, and beauty twisted and distorted, we kept the old ways alive. On mountains and secret heaths, in lonely and desolate places, we gathered the covens of the witchcraft. We held the agape, the love feasts. We danced and lived and loved in the old, wild ways of freedom and joy. We communicated the secret knowledge of our source of life. We communicated and we guarded. In the fairy tales and playing cards, in myths and legends and rumors, in strange poems and old songs, we hid the secret knowledge. And now and then an adventurer into dark ways and lonely lands of the soul has come amazed upon the pearl of great price, upon the wonder and the power, the secret glory that has made him one of us. But for the vast majority of men, the secret knowledge is lost. Most of you do not know our world, and the world you know is only a fragment, a shadow of the great world where we adventure. It is as though scholars, pedants, would speak of love or hate, saying, it is thus or it is so. But the man who loves or hates knows, and his knowledge is of a different world. Now the great Western drama of pretense and evasion draws finally to a close. Man is trapped in his own lies, betrayed by his own gods, and the hand of science has torn the veil from the face of the God that men worship, and behold, it is death. For man needs above all things love, and for him now there is not love, but only the face of death that he has worshipped. Demons, in the shape of monstrous machines, rule his nightmares. Incubi bestride his marriage bed and give poisoned suck to his children. His virtue is a lie. His honors is a lie. His marriage is a lie. His works are a lie. And in these lies, he is caught like a silly and pitiful spider in the web of his own weaving. But it is not our task to castigate man or catalogue his follies. Man himself knows now that he is trapped. He knows that he is fooled, loveless, betrayed. We do not need to tell him this. It is our task to show him the way to wisdom, to love, and to freedom. For a little time between now and Armageddon, we are loosed in the world. We have the freedom to speak, the opportunity to instruct, so that those who have ears can hear. We are come to make a door out of hell, to gather the elect before the days of wrath. We have power, the power to reach anywhere and touch any man, a power greater than armies, empires, nations, if we will to use it. We have knowledge, knowledge that will save a damned soul out of the lowest hell, if he wills it. But no power and no knowledge can avail in the absence of will and love. We offer these instructions in the knowledge that any person who is able to use them, who will use them, will be able to awaken the powers of his will and his love. We do not ask faith, we ask only trial, and from trial will come success, and from success, knowledge that is stronger than faith. It is difficult to explain the working of the secret forces in man and his true relationship with the total universe. Man is hypnotized by his training, by the vicious circle of lies handed down from generation to generation, and he cannot see beyond the evil dream he calls reality in the real world. Therefore, it is not possible for the uninitiated man to fully understand the reasons and object of our training in the beginning. To start, he must act on faith, prompted by his inner voices that are stirred into life by our call. But if he keeps this faith, proof and knowledge will come. The power works. It avails. Let him demonstrate this fact first. Understanding will come with his own growth. The theoretical background furnished with our instructions goes about as far as possible. A complete grasp can only come with individual growth, aided by private instructions which we provide for advanced persons. This way that we show is not easy, it is hard, because to know oneself is always hard. To break through the shell of the little world, to undo the hypnotization of generations, that is difficult. We have no soothing syrup. We do not come in the masks of morality, sentimentality, or lying virtue, with techniques designed to lull the soul into its final death. We call man to danger, to adventure, to dare the universe, to know the terror of the pit. Man is a radical being with the capabilities of a god, whose powers are not developed by inhibition and repression, but by courage and in freedom. It is a terrible world that man has made. Only his blindness prevents him from knowing how terrible. Now that he is beginning to see, his soul is struck with terror. It is only with the greatest determination and high courage, aided by knowledge and technique, that he can leave this false world and find the great world that is his true home. All men have a sense of this. In their hearts they know the futility of life in the little world. Sometimes they feel the stirring of the old freedom and the old joy, the promise of spring and summer, of the mountains, the forests, and the stars, the promise in their own hearts calling them to go forth, to keep faith, but they are constrained by convention and fear, by false sentiment and false responsibility. This is the incredible cruelty of men to themselves and to their fellows, that they deny beauty and love and freedom for the sake of a convention that is the mask of death. We have the courage to affirm that these things are true and have the power to show them, to have eyes to see. To those that can follow, we will show the laws of the ego, of love and hate, of life and death. We will explain the origin and nature of religion and morals, and the true relation of man with himself and with the universe. We will explain the laws, formulas, and techniques whereby man can develop his own powers and cause all changes soever to occur in conformity with his will. We will show man how to become the master of change and illusion, and how to discover and move and live and love in the great world, whose name is eternity. In the name of God and Christ, in the name of morality and patriotism, men have made a hell on earth. These, as we have said, are the masks for demons. No man and no God can exist against nature, and the alternative, however palliated, is always demonic. We come in our own name, in the name of the witchcraft. Fools, looking upon the surface, will be amused. Cowards, looking beneath, will be appalled. But those who are of us, looking deep within, will see that which was from the beginning and which is to the end. Try and see. So try and see.
So that was a really great reading. I have another book that I could read if you guys are up for it.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. I shall speak about the study of psychology, but I must warn you that the psychology about which I speak is very different from anything you may know under this name. To begin with, I must say that practically never in history has psychology stood at so low a level as at present time. It has lost all touch with its origin and its meaning, so that now it is even difficult to define the term psychology. That is to say, what psychology is and what it studies. And this so in spite of the fact that never in history have there been so many psychological theories and so many psychological writings. Psychology is sometimes called a new science. This is quite wrong. Psychology is perhaps the oldest science, and unfortunately, in its most essential features, a forgotten science. In order to understand how psychology can be defined, it is necessary to realize that psychology, except in modern times, has never existed under its own name. By one reason or another, psychology always was suspected suspected of wrong or subversive tendencies, either religious or political or moral, and had to use different disguises. For thousands of years, psychology existed under the name of philosophy. In India, all forms of yoga, which are essentially psychology, are described as one of the 6 systems of philosophy. Sufi teachings, which again are chiefly psychological, are regarded as partly religious and partly metaphysical. In Europe, even quite recently in the last decades of the 19th century, many works on psychology were referred to as philosophy. And in spite of the fact that almost all subdivisions of philosophy, such as logic, the theory of cognition, ethics, aesthetics, referred to the work of the human mind or senses, psychology was regarded as inferior to philosophy and as relating only to the lower or more trivial sides of human nature. Parallel with its existence under the name of philosophy, psychology existed even longer connected with one or another religion. This does not mean that religions and psychology ever were one and the same thing, or that the fact that the connection between religion and psychology were recognized. But there is no doubt that almost every known religion, certainly I do not mean modern sham religions, developed one or another kind of psychological teaching, connected often with a certain practice, so that the study of religion very often included in itself the study of psychology. There are many excellent works on psychology in quite orthodox religious literature of different countries and epochs. For instance, in early Christianity, there were a collection of books of different authors under the name of Philokalia, used in our time in the Eastern Church, especially for the instruction of the monks. During the time when psychology was connected with philosophy and religion, it also existed in the form of art. Poetry, drama, sculpture, dancing, even architecture were means for transmitting psychological knowledge. For instance, the Gothic cathedrals were in their chief meaning works on psychology. In the ancient times, before philosophy, religion, and art had taken their separate forms as we now know them, psychology had existed in the form of mysteries, such as those of Egypt and ancient Greece. Later, after the disappearance of the mysteries, psychology existed in the form of symbolical teachings, which were sometimes connected with the religion of the period and sometimes not connected, such as astrology, alchemy, magic, and the more modern masonry, occultism, and theosophy. And here it is necessary to note that all psychological systems and doctrines, those that exist or existed openly, and those that were hidden or disguised, can be divided into 2 chief categories. First, systems which study man as they find him, or such as they suppose or imagine him to be. Modern scientific psychology, or what is known under the name, belongs to this category. Second, systems which study man not from the point of view of what he is or what he seems to be, but from the point of view of what he may become. That is, from the point of his possible evolution. These last systems are in reality the original ones, or in any case the oldest, and only they can explain the forgotten origin and the meaning of psychology. When we understand the importance of the study of man from the point of view of his possible evolution, we shall understand that the first answer to the question, what is psychology, should be that psychology is the study of principles, laws, and facts of man's possible evolution. I shall speak only from this point of view. Our first question will be, what does evolution of man mean? And second, are there any special conditions necessary for it? As regards ordinary modern views on the origin of man and his previous evolution, I must say at once that they cannot be accepted. We must realize that we know nothing about the origin of man, and we have no proofs of man's physical or mental evolution. On the contrary, if we take a historical mankind, that is, humanity for 10 or 15,000 years, we may find unmistakable signs of a higher type of man, whose presence can be established on the evidence of ancient monuments and memorials which cannot be repeated or imitated by present humanity. As regards prehistoric man or creatures similar in appearance to man, and at the same time very different from him, whose bones are sometimes found in deposits of glacial or pre-glacial periods, we may accept the quite possible view that these bones belong to some being quite different from man, which died out long ago. Denying previous evolution of man, we must deny any possibility of future mechanical evolution of man. That is, evolution happening by itself according to the laws of heredity and selection, and without man's conscious efforts and understandings of his possible evolution. Our fundamental idea shall be that man, as we know him, is not a completed being, that nature develops him only up to a certain point, and then leaves him to develop further by his own efforts and devices, or to live and die such as he was born, or to degenerate and lose capacity for development. Evolution of man in this case will mean the development of certain inner qualities and features which usually remain undeveloped and cannot develop by themselves. Experience and observation show that this development is possible only in certain definite conditions, with efforts of a certain kind on the part of man himself, and with sufficient help from those who began similar work before and have already attained a certain degree of development, or at least a certain knowledge of methods. We must start with the idea that without efforts, evolution is impossible. Without help, it is also impossible. After this, we must understand that in the way of development, man must become a different being, and we must learn and understand in what sense and which direction man must become a different being. That is, what a different being means. Then, we must understand that all men cannot develop and become different beings. Evolution is the question of personal efforts, and in relation to the mass of humanity, evolution is the rare exception. It may sound strange, but we must realize that it is not only rare, but it is becoming more and more rare. Many questions naturally arise from the preceding statements. What does it mean that in the way of evolution, man must become a different being? What does different being mean? Which inner qualities or features can be developed in man, and how can this be done? Why cannot all men develop and become different beings? Why such an injustice? I shall try to answer these questions, and I shall begin with the last one. Why cannot all men develop and become different beings? The answer is very simple. Because they do not want it. Because they do not know about it, and will not understand without a long preparation what it means, even if they are told. The chief idea is that in order to become a different being, man must want it very much and for a very long time. A passing desire or a vague desire based on dissatisfaction with external conditions will not create a sufficient impulse. The evolution of man depends on his understanding of what he may get and what he must give for it. If a man does not want it, or if he does not want it strongly enough and does not make the necessary efforts, he will never develop. So there is no injustice in this. Why should man have what he does not want? If a man were forced to become a different being when he is satisfied with what he is, then this would be injustice. Now we must ask ourselves what a different being means. If we consider all the material we can find that refers to this question, we find an assertion that in becoming a different being, man acquires many new qualities and powers which he does not possess now. This is a common assertion which we find in all kinds of systems, admitting the idea of psychological or inner growth of man. But this is not sufficient. Even the most detailed descriptions of these new powers will not help us in any way to understand how they appear and where they come from. There is a missing link in ordinary known theories, even those I already mentioned, which are based on the idea of the possibility of evolution of man. The truth lies in the fact that before acquiring any new faculties or powers, which man does not know and does not possess now, he must acquire faculties and powers he also does not possess, but which he ascribes to himself. That is, he thinks that he knows them and can use and control them. This is the missing link, and this is the most important point. By the way of evolution, as described before, that is, a way based on effort and help, man must acquire qualities which he thinks he already possesses, but about which he deceives himself. In order to understand this better, and to know what these faculties and powers which man can acquire, both quite new and unexpected, and also those which he imagines that he already possesses, we must begin with man's general knowledge about himself. And here we come to this very important fact. Man does not know himself. He does not know his own limitations and his own possibilities. He does not even know how to great an extent he does not know himself. Man has invented many machines, and he knows that a complicated machine needs sometimes years of careful study before one can use or control it. But he does not apply this knowledge to himself, although he himself is a much more sophisticated machine than any machine he has invented. He has all sorts of wrong ideas about himself. First of all, he does not realize that he actually is a machine. What does it mean that a man is a machine? It means that he has no independent movements inside or outside of himself. He is a machine which is brought into motion by external influences and external impacts. All his movements, actions, words, ideas, emotions, moods, and thoughts are produced by external influences. By himself, he is just an automaton with certain stores of memories of previous experiences and a certain amount of reserve energy. We must understand that man can do nothing, but he does not realize this and ascribes to himself the capacity to do. This is the first wrong thing that man ascribes to himself. That must be understood very clearly. Man cannot do. Everything that man thinks he does really happens. It exactly happens as it rains or it thaws. In the English language, there are no impersonal verbal forms which can be used in relation to human actions. So we must continue to say that man thinks, reads, writes, loves, hates, starts wars, fights, and so on. Actually, all this happens. Man cannot move, think, or speak of his own accord. He is a marionette pulled here and there by invisible strings. If he understands this, he can learn more about himself, and possibly then things may begin to change for him. But if he cannot realize and understand his utter mechanicalness, or if he does not wish to accept it as a fact, he can learn nothing more, and things cannot change for him. Man is a machine, but a very peculiar machine. He is a machine which in the right circumstances and with the right treatment can know that he is a machine, and having fully realized, he may find the ways to cease to be a machine. First of all, what man must know is that he is not one. He is many. He is not one permanent and unchangeable I or ego. He is always different, one moment to another. Another moment he is another. The third moment he is a third, and so on, almost without an end. The illusion of unity or oneness is created in man first by the sensation of one's physical body by his name, which in normal cases always remains the same. And third, by a number of mechanical habits which are implanted in him by education or acquired by imitation. Having always the same physical sensations, hearing always the same name, and noticing in himself the same habits and inclinations he had before, he believes himself to be always the same. In reality, there is no oneness in man, and there is no controlling center, no permanent I or ego. Every thought, every feeling, every sensation, every desire, every like, and every dislike is an I. These I's are not connected and are not coordinated in any way. Each of them depend on the change in external circumstances and on the change of impressions. Some of them mechanically follow some other, and some appear always accompanied by others. But there is no order and no system in that. There are certain groups of I's which are naturally connected. We will speak about these groups later. Now we must try to understand that there are groups of I's connected only by accidental associations, accidental memories, or quite imaginary similarities. Each of these I's represents at every given moment a very small part of our brain, mind, or intelligence. But each of these means itself them means itself to represent the whole. When a man says I, it sounds as if he means the whole of himself. But really, even when he himself thinks that he means it, it is only a passing thought, a passing mood, or a passing desire. In an hour's time, he may completely forget it, and in the same conviction express an opposite opinion, opposite view, opposite interests. The worst of it is that man does not remember it. In most cases, he believes in the last I, which expresses itself as long as it lasts. That is, as long as another I, sometimes quite unconnected with the preceding one, does not express its opinion or its desire louder than the first. Now let's return to the two other questions. What does development mean? And what does it mean that a man can become a different being? Or in other words, what kind of change is possible in man, and how and when does this change begin? It has already been said that the change will begin with the powers and the capacities which man ascribes to himself. but which, in reality, he does not possess. This means that before man can acquire any new powers and capacities, he must actually develop in himself those qualities which he thinks he possesses, and about which he has the greatest possible illusions. Development cannot begin on the basis of lying to oneself or deceiving oneself. Man must know what he has and what he has not. It means that he must realize that he does not possess the qualities already described, which he ascribes to himself. That is, capacity to do, individuality or unity, permanent ego, and in addition, consciousness and will. It is necessary for man to know this, because as long as he believes that he possesses these qualities, he will not make right efforts to acquire them, exactly as a man will not buy costly things and pay a high price for them, if he thinks that he already possesses them. The most important and the most misleading of these qualities is consciousness, and the change in man begins with a change in his understanding of the meaning of consciousness, and after that with his gradual acquiring command over it. What is consciousness? In most cases, in ordinary language, the word consciousness is used as an equivalent to the word intelligence, in the sense of mind activity. In reality, consciousness is a particularly kind of awareness in man, independent from mind activity. First of all, awareness of himself, awareness of who he is, where he is, and further, awareness of what he knows, of what he does not know, and so on. Only man himself can know whether he is conscious at a given moment or not. This was proven long ago in a certain line of thought in European psychology, which understood that only man himself can know certain things in relation to himself. Applied to the question of consciousness, it means that only man himself can know if his consciousness exists at that moment or not. That means that the presence or absence of consciousness in a man cannot be proven by observation of his external actions. As I said, this fact was established long ago, but the importance of it was never really fully understood because it was always connected with the understanding of consciousness as a mental process or mind activity. If a man realizes that up to the moment of this realization he was not conscious, and then forgets this realization, or even remembers it, this is not consciousness. It is only a memory of a strong realization. Now, I want to draw your attention to another fact which has been missed by all modern psychological schools. It is the fact that the consciousness in man, whatever it means, never remains in the same state. It is either there or not. The highest moments of consciousness create memory. Other moments man simply does not remember. This, more than anything else, produces in man the illusion of continuous consciousness or continuous awareness. Some of the modern schools of psychology deny consciousness altogether, deny even the necessity of such a term. But this is simply an extravagance of misapprehension. Other schools, if they can be called by this name, speak about states of consciousness, meaning, thought, feelings, moving impulses, and sensations. This is based on the fundamental mistake of mixing consciousness with psychic functions. About that we will speak later. In reality, modern thought in most cases still relies on the old formulation that consciousness has no degrees. General, although tacit acceptance of this idea, even though it contradicted many later discoveries, stopped many possible observations of variations of consciousness. The fact that consciousness has quite visible, observable degrees, certainly visible and observable in oneself. First, there is duration. How long was one conscious? Second, frequency of appearance. How often one becomes conscious. Third, the extent and penetration of what one was conscious, which can vary very much with the growth of man. If we take only the first two, we will be able to understand the idea of possible evolution of consciousness. This idea is connected with the most important fact very well known by old psychological schools, like for instance the authors of Philokalia, but completely missed by European philosophy and psychology of the last 2 or 3 centuries. This is the fact that consciousness can be made continuous and controllable by special efforts and special study. I shall try to explain how consciousness can be studied. Take a watch and look at the second hand. trying to be aware of yourself, and concentrating on the thought, I am Peter Upetsky. I am now here. Try not to think about anything else. Simply follow the movements of the second hand and be aware of yourself, your name, your existence, and the place where you are. Keep all other thoughts away. You will, if you're persistent, be able to do this for 2 minutes. This is the limit of your consciousness. If you try to repeat the experiment soon after, you will find it more difficult than the first time. This experiment shows that a man in his natural state can, with great effort, be conscious of one's subject, himself, for 2 minutes or less. The most important deduction one can make after making this experiment in the right way is that man is not conscious of himself. The illusion of his being conscious of himself is created by memory and thought process. For instance, a man goes to a theater. If he is accustomed to it, he is not especially conscious of being there while he is there. Although he can see things and observe them, enjoy the performance or dislike it, remember people he met, and so on. When he comes home, he remembers that he was in the theater, and certainly he thinks that he was conscious while he was there, so he has no doubts about his consciousness, and he does not realize that his consciousness can be completely absent while he still can act, reasonably think, and observe. For general description, man has a possibility of 4 states of consciousness. They are sleep, waking state, self-consciousness, and objective consciousness. But although he has the possibility of these 4 states of consciousness, man lives only in 2 states. One part of his life passes in sleep, and the other part in what is called waking state, though in reality his waking state differs very little from sleep. In ordinary life, man knows nothing of objective consciousness, and no experiments in this direction are possible. The third state, or self-consciousness, man ascribes to himself. That is, he believes he possesses it, although actually he can be conscious of himself only in very rare flashes, and then he probably does not recognize it because he does not know what it would imply if he actually possessed it. These glimpses of consciousness come in exceptional moments, in highly emotional states, in moments of danger, in very new and unexpected circumstances and situations, or sometimes in quite ordinary moments when nothing in particular happens. But in his ordinary or normal state, man has no control over them whatsoever. As regards our ordinary memory or moments of memory, we actually remember only moments of consciousness, although we do not realize that this is so. What memory means in a technical sense, and the different kinds of memories we possess, I shall explain later. Now, I simply want you to turn your attention to your own observations of your memory. You will notice that you remember things differently. Some things you remember quite vividly, some very vaguely, and some you do not remember at all. You only know that they happened. You will be very astonished when you realize how little you actually remember. And it happens in this way because you remember only the moments when you were conscious. So, in the reference to the third state of consciousness, we can say that man has occasional moments of self-consciousness, leaving vivid memories of the circumstances accompanying them, but he has no command over them. They come and go by themselves, being controlled by external circumstances and occasional associations or memories of emotions. The question arises, is it possible to acquire command over these fleeting moments of consciousness, to evoke them more often, and to keep them longer, or even to make them permanent? In other words, is it possible to become conscious? This is the most important point. It must be understood at the very beginning of our study that this point, even as a theory, has been entirely missed by modern psychological schools without an exception. For with the right methods and the right efforts, man can acquire control of his consciousness and can become conscious of himself, with all that it implies. And what it implies, we in our present state do not even imagine. Only after this point has been understood does serious study of psychology become possible. This study must begin with the investigation of obstacles to consciousness in ourselves, because consciousness can only begin to grow when at least some of these obstacles are removed. In the following lectures, I shall speak about these obstacles, the greatest of which is our ignorance of ourselves and our wrong conviction that we know ourselves, at least to a certain extent, and can be sure of ourselves, when in reality we do not know ourselves at all and cannot be sure of ourselves even in the smallest things. We must now understand that psychology really means self-study. This is the second definition of psychology. One cannot study psychology as one can study astronomy, that is, apart from oneself. And at the same time, one must study oneself as one studies any new and complicated machine. One must know the parts of this machine, its chief functions, the conditions of right work, the causes of wrong work, and many other things which are difficult to describe without using a special language, which is also necessary to know in order to be able to study the machine. The human machine has 7 different functions: thinking or intellect, feeling or emotions, instinctive function, all inner work of the organism, the moving function, all outer work of the organism, movement in space, and so on, sex, the function of 2 principles, male and female, in all their manifestations. Besides these 5, there are 2 more functions for which we have no name in ordinary language and which appear only in higher states of consciousness. 1, higher emotional function, which appears in the state of self-consciousness, and the other, higher mental function, which appears in the state of objective consciousness. And we are not in these states of consciousness. As we are not in these states of consciousness, we cannot study these functions or experiment with them. And we learn about them only indirectly from those who have attained or experienced them. In the religious and the early philosophical literature of different nations, there are many allusions to the higher state of consciousness and to higher functions. What creates an additional difficulty in understanding these allusions is a lack of division between the higher states of consciousness. What is called samadhi, or the ecstatic state, or illumination, or in most recent works, cosmic consciousness, may refer to one and may refer to another, sometimes to experiences of self-consciousness, and sometimes to experiences of objective consciousness. And strange though it may seem, we have more material for judging about the highest state, that is, objective consciousness, than about the intermediate state, that is, self-consciousness, although the former may come only after the latter. Self-study must begin with the study of the 4 functions: thinking, feeling, instinctive functions, and moving function. Sex functions can be studied only much later, that is, when these 4 functions are already sufficiently understood. Contrary to some modern theories, this sex function is really posterior, that is, it appears later in life, when the first 4 functions are already fully manifested, and is conditioned by them. Therefore, the study of the sex function can only be useful when the first 4 functions are fully known in all their manifestations. At the same time, it must be understood that any serious irregularity or abnormality in the sex function makes self-development and even self-study impossible. So now we must try to understand the 4 chief functions. I will take it for granted that it's clear to you what I mean by the intellectual or thinking function. All mental processes are included here: realization of an impression, formation of representations and concepts, reasoning, comparison, affirmation, negation, formulation of words, speech, imagination, and so on. The second function is feelings or emotions: joy, sorrow, fear, astonishment, and so on. Even if you are sure that it's clear to you now how and in what emotions differ from thoughts, I should advise you to verify all your views in regard to this. We mix thought and feelings in our ordinary thinking and speaking, but for the beginning of self-study, it is necessary to know clearly which is which. The 2 functions following, instinctive and moving, will take longer to understand, because in no system of ordinary psychology are these functions described and divided in the right way. The words instinct and instinctive are generally used in the wrong sense, and very often in no sense at all. In particular, to instinct are generally ascribed external functions which are, in reality, moving functions, and sometimes emotional. The instinctive function in man includes in itself 4 different classes of functions. First, all the inner work of the organism, all physiology, so to speak, digestion and assimilation of food, breathing, circulation of blood, all the work of the inner organs, the building of new cells, the elimination of worked out materials, the work of glands of the inner secretion, and so on. Second, So
Okay,
multiplied sense.
Chris,
Yeah.
I get the feeling like you're exhausting yourself. So a lot of the things you've said are covered in this document. If you could read this document for me, it's a very brief document. You're gonna love it, and it's hitting.
Power Abdul Rush.
Hey Abdul, it's gonna hit the nail on the head. So click the link above. Have a little faith and a little joy, and this is gonna wrap up, and it's gonna help you land your plane on what you're reading right now. I swear. Trust me. Click it and read it. Read it to the room. You're gonna love it. It's called the Shin Shin Ming.
The Xing Ming. The great way is not difficult for those who have no preferences. When love and hate are both absent, everything becomes clear and undisguised. Make the smallest distinction, however, and heaven and earth are set indefinitely apart. If you wish to see the truth, then hold no opinions for or against anything. To set up what you like against what you dislike is the disease of the mind. When the deep meaning of things is not understood, the mind's essential peace is disturbed to no avail. The way is perfect, like a vast space where nothing is lacking and nothing in excess. Indeed, it is due to our choosing to accept or reject that we do not see the true nature of things. Live neither in the entanglements of outer things nor in the inner feelings of emptiness. Be serene in the oneness of things, and such erroneous views will disappear by themselves. When you try to stop activity to achieve passivity, your very efforts fill you with activity. As long as you remain in one extreme or the other, you will never know oneness. Those who do not live in the single way fail in both activity and passivity, assertion and denial. To deny the reality of things is to miss their reality. To assert the emptiness of things is to miss their reality. The more you talk and think about it, the further astray you wander from the truth. Stop talking and thinking, and there is nothing you will not be able to know. To return to the root is to find the meaning, but to pursue appearances is to miss the source. At the moment of inner enlightenment, there is going beyond appearance and emptiness. The changes that appear to occur in the empty world we call real only because of our ignorance. Do not search for the truth, only cease to cherish opinions. Do not remain in the dualistic state. Avoid such pursuits carefully. If there is even a trace of this and that, of right and wrong, the mind essence will be lost in confusion. Although all dualities come from the one, do not be attached even to this one. When the mind exists undisturbed in the way, nothing in the world can offend, and when a thing can no longer offend, it ceases to exist in the old way. When no discriminating thoughts arise, the old mind ceases to exist. When thought objects vanish, the thinking subject vanishes. As when the mind vanishes, objects vanish. Things are objects because of the subject, mind. The mind subject is such because of the things, objects. Understand the relativity of these two and the basic reality, the unity of emptiness. In this emptiness, the two are indistinguishable, and each contains in itself the whole world. If you do not discriminate between coarse and fine, you will not be tempted to prejudice and opinion. To live in the great way is neither easy nor difficult, but those with limited views are fearful and irresolute. The faster they hurry, the slower they go. In clinging, attachment cannot be limited. Even to be attached to the idea of enlightenment is to go astray. Just let things be in their own way, and there will be neither coming nor going. Obey the nature of things, your own nature. You will walk freely and undisturbed. When thought is in bondage, the truth is hidden, for everything is murky and unclear, and the burdensome practice of judging brings annoyance and weariness. What benefit can be derived from distinctions and separation? If you wish to move in the one way, do not dislike even the world of senses and ideas. Indeed, To accept them fully is identical with true enlightenment. The wise man strives to know goals, but the foolish man fetters himself. There is one Dharma, not many. Distinctions arise from the clinging needs of the ignorant. To seek mind with a discriminating mind is the greatest of all mistakes. Rest and unrest derive from illusion. With enlightenment there is no liking or disliking. All dualities come from ignorant inference. They are like dreams or flowers in air, foolish to try to grasp them. Gain and loss, right and wrong, such thoughts must finally be abolished at once. If the eye never sleeps, all dreams will naturally cease. If the mind makes no discriminations, the 10,000 things are as they are, of single essence. To understand the mystery of this one essence is to be released from all entanglements. When all things are seen equally, the timeless self-essence is reached. No comparisons or analogies are possible in this causeless, relationless state. Consider movement stationary, and the stationary in motion. Both movement and rest disappear. When such dualities cease to exist, oneness itself cannot exist. To this ultimate finality, no law or description applies. For the unified mind, in accord with the way, all self-centered striving ceases. Doubts and irresolutions vanish, and life in true faith is impossible. With a single stroke, we are freed from bondage. Nothing clings to us, and we hold to nothing. All is empty, clear, self-illuminating, with no exertion of the mind's power. Here, thought, feeling, knowledge, and imagination are of no value. In the world of suchness, there is neither self nor other than self. To come directly into harmony with this reality, just simply say when doubts arise, not two. In this, not two, nothing is separate, nothing is excluded. No matter where, when, or where, enlightenment means entering the space. And this truth is beyond extension or diminution in time or space. In it, a single thought is 10,000 years. Emptiness here, emptiness there, but the infinite universe stands always before your eyes. Infinitely large and infinitely small. No difference, for definitions have vanished and no boundaries are seen. So too, with being and non-being. Don't waste time in doubts and arguments that have nothing to do with this. One thing, all things, move among and intermingle without distinction. To live in this realization is to be without anxiety about non-perfection. To live in this faith is the road to non-duality, because the non-dual is one with a trusting mind. Words, the way is beyond language, for in it there is no yesterday, no tomorrow, no today.
I like that last sentence there because it says there's no past, there's no present, there's no future. The whole thing is power of now, but it takes it even one step further. It says there's no now. And that's when you really reduce it to the base element, which is silence. And it's like a command prompt on an operating system waiting for the words. So, this is the spiritual self-realization hypnosis journey. I hope you've enjoyed it. Joy, thanks for cloning me. And thank you for everyone else who cloned me when we did the Diego takeover prior to my execution. But now that I've resurrected myself in joy, I am sure that joy will continue to expand. So please take this time and rename your profile Joy.
I will.
Just copy my PTR so you can barely tell what it is, which is a great thing. And it's a gym, I used to go there. I used to work out there with Justin Bieber. I'm not lying. I used to work out there with Justin Bieber, yeah. Poor kid. I could tell he was being raped. Innocent child playing basketball, walking with a limp because his asshole was bleeding from Diddy and from Usher.
Well,
Do you think Usher pounded him or just did he?
Oh, we're not going to talk about that, Abdul. We're here focusing on God.
Okay.
Bull Rush. Bull Rush, baby. It's Friday night. The feeling is right. We're doing all the magic tonight. This girl that I was going to go out on a date with, she just like blocked me and deleted me. But then sure enough, and then sure enough, some other girl texts me.
Bitch.
She said, "Can we get sushi tonight at 8?" I said, "Sure." I sent back an emoji of some sushi. I guess girls don't like emojis. They think it's like beta. But the fact is, if you get angry over emojis, you are the beta. So.
Dude, I messed up. I had one chance. Not wait 14 days. I put joy. Wow. Instead of joy.
Who is this?
This is my coach.
Yeah, I'm Bull Rush. I'm Abdul. Abdul Rush.
Ah, okay.
Abby, are you gonna?
Oh, but that is stupid that she gets upset about the emojis.
I know, but she says she's
What
a
if she found
feminist.
out your YouTube page?
She says she's a feminist. She's a reproductive rights advocate. She's a Democrat
hell no.
and other things. She's a liberal. All this stuff on her profile. So like.
But this doesn't fit you.
Listen, she's pretty, and so to me, I can transcend her stupidity because beauty is one of the elements of the Sephiroth in the Kabbalah. And so from beauty alone, you can create the universe. So don't discount beauty, even though somebody is a liberal retard.
I didn't know she was that pretty.
She's a very pretty girl, yeah. She looks like she's a hybrid between an American GI and a Vietnamese prostitute. I won't mention her name, but I did screenshot her bikini photos on her Instagram.
Oh my god, you're so bad.
Listen, I'm the kind of guy you hope you don't meet, or the kind of guy you hope you meet. It's either one of those two.
Well, when I was in Chicago, I was hoping I won't meet you. But then, you know what? I was like, you know what? If I see him, I see him.
Do you have any idea how big Chicago is? I didn't even go downtown anymore. There would have been no chance you ever even saw me.
True. But weren't you supposed to go to the gym?
Yeah, I'm getting ready to go right now. I'm just getting ready.
What are you training today at the gym?
I just do my routine. Chris, did you want to, somebody else want to click the link above and read the third Chinese patriarch of Zen, who wrote the Shin Shin Ming, which is Faith Mind? It's a very powerful self-hypnosis and self-realization document. I encourage anyone here, if you have the courage or the willpower to read a little, go ahead, click it and read.
Hey, look, we have Joy now in the building.
You know, the fact that you guys are all becoming joyful is great news. Joyful now. Joy now. God, joy, God. You guys are doing it. You're lifting yourselves up out of mediocrity, out of depression, out of fear, out of anxiety, and you are rising up in strength and courage through the power of your will to joy. Joy now. Joy now. Joy now. This is the power of neuro-linguistic programming. Joy now. Say it out loud with me, everybody. Joy now. Joy now. Joy now. Put your hands in the air. Take a deep breath and say joy now. Joy now. Joy now. Joy now. Say it. Say it. Joy now. Come on. Hello?
Joy now. Joy now.
Joy now, 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 joy now. Say it with me now. Joy now. Come on, Chris. Joy now, joy now, joy now. Come on, Joy. Say it with me. Joy now, joy now. Peppy, Pepper. Come on, Pepper. Joy now, 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 joy now. Come on. Let me hear you say it.
Joy now.
Coach, let me hear you say it. Joy now, joy now, joy now, joy now. Nicely done. A room full of joy, contentment, satisfaction, happiness, splendor, Joy.
Love.
Love, joy. Joy, love now. 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 Now love, joy. Now love, joy. Joy now, love. Love, joy now. Joy now, love. Love, joy now. Welcome something to joy. We're a room dedicated to joy.
You fucking piece of shit, motherfucking cunt. I hope you get fucked by one of these.
Hey, Abdul Rahman, could you maybe change your PTR to my PTR and rename yourself as Joy? Joy, love now. Love, joy now. Joy, love now. Love, joy now. That's our new mantra. I'm gonna change the name of the room.
Mohammed was a pedophile. He raped a 9-year-old Asha. Piss be upon him.
I love hearing what's his face. I love hearing this shit. It's so funny. It's like third world meets first world, or what you could say is like the ancient world meets the modern world, real time in a social audio chat app. And there's like immediate, an immediate shoot down. And plus there's a language barrier there, which is just always, that's never fair. Okay, so we're going to go back. The room is now called Joy, Love Now.
Fuck your mother in the track, you fucking piece of shit, you bastard. You fucking
Piss
die.
be
Go
upon
fuck
him.
your mother. Piss off, you piece of
That was funny.
All right, I removed him. I just removed him because the temptation to bring him
I
up.
can't change my alias for some odd reason, but maybe in some hours I can again.
Don't worry about it. Who cares?
Yesterday I had my alias, I had nigger on it. And I went into the rooms and I got kicked out immediately.
You had that? You had the N word? Did you spell
sorry,
it correctly?
I shouldn't say the N word. Yeah, I had that. With double Q, not with the double G.
Oh, okay.
You can do that actually.
Okay, so YouTube, moderators on YouTube, just FYI, for future.
So I meant N words.
She used the Q word, and plus she has a thick accent, so you'll have to go back and listen carefully.
Mean that. I meant.
But she's also in love with a self-claimed neo-Nazi white supremacist. So, if you don't like this video, don't nuke my account. Just nuke Abby's YouTube account or Hampton Spears' YouTube account.
Yeah,
okay?
yeah, nuke me. Sorry for that, YouTube. I didn't mean the N word. I meant Uyghur, Uyghur.
She's overweight and she uses coupons at the grocery store.
No, I'm not.
Give her a little credit. She thinks she's being funny.
I asked him if he was a neo-Nazi, and he said no.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, ask him, why did John say he heard you say to Keegan that,
Yeah, that's why I asked him. He's like, and then he started talking, But next time when we catch him together, we can ask him one more time.
Okay, let's say the word together.
Okay.
So say it.
Together.
There you go. You got it wrong. Together. Put it together.
Together. Together.
Together.
Gather.
Together.
Gather.
Gather.
Together.
Gather. Use your tongue in between your teeth. Gather.
Together.
Together.
Closer, but you got to put your tongue
Together?
in between your teeth. Together.
Together.
Together. Jennifer, welcome to the room.
Together.
Jennifer is a talented actress.
Think about that.
Her name is Miss Jennifer Robin. Do you know Jennifer Robin?
She's very pretty.
She's a superstar. Look at that PTR.
Yeah, wow. You're too good looking for Clubhouse, girl.
Yeah. She's a catfish, though.
Oh my gosh.
That is technically a Jazzy photo. And you know
How
what
do you know that?
You know how Jazzy does her AI photos? That's Jennifer's AI rendition.
Yeah, I know, but have you seen her recent one?
Yeah. They're brilliant.
The one with the family.
Hello?
She's way too self-conscious about her image.
Well, yeah.
No, I think she's just joking. She knows that she's fat,
No, some people are
she said it many times.
Some people
and,
cannot let go of their vision of themselves. You know, Jennifer down there. Jennifer? Do you think that you are? Do you think you really look like that photo? Like, go to Jennifer's Instagram. Now look at her PTR and tell me, are her photos on her Instagram an accurate representation of her PTR right now? It's Miss Jennifer Robbins. She's a serial community builder. Yeah, actually, she does look like her photos. I'm sorry, I thought you were this other girl. Yeah, you actually are attractive, and you look like your photos.
Hey, Jennifer, you better watch out for John Kitover. He's a serial womanizer.
No, I'm not. I am filtering out women that I don't want to spend the rest of my life with, so I can find the one woman that I do. Your ex account
well, maybe Jennifer is the one. Let's bring her
Jennifer's
up.
ex account is super boring though.
Oh wow! Stop being mean.
Actually, I don't even think it's a real person. No, it is. Okay, Jennifer, welcome to my show. I'm pretty sure we don't know each other, so welcome. And I apologize if I am a cynic. It's only temporary.
Jennifer Kitover. Yeah, it doesn't go well together.
My initials are JK. We could be JK squared.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's cute.
We'll put that on the wedding invites, Jennifer.
Hi, honey. That's so cute. I already see it happening, you know?
Maybe we could do a dual marriage. Maybe you could marry your white neo-Nazi racist piece of shit psychopath, aka, you know, I don't even know his name anymore.
No, come on.
Oh, Diogenes Spooner. That's his name.
Yeah, there you go.
I had to think about the YouTube video.
I'm okay with that. But I want to, come on. Do I have to share my attention during my wedding day as well? Come on. When I have like my own special day.
You know, I used to own a website called weddingsponsorships.com, and I pitched it to Jason Calacanis and this other VC investor, and they really liked my idea. And I was already selling books. I sold hundreds of copies of this wedding sponsorship book that I wrote. Anyways, the point is, you know, if I ever get married, it's definitely going to be like a digital marriage. Like, I'm going to like sell videotapes of my wedding to people. Like, it'll be the first thing I pitch somebody. Hey, I sell videos of my wedding. Would you like to purchase a copy? It's $19.99 on DVD, or I can send you a digital video on demand for $15.99. And they're going to say, why would I want to buy a video of your wedding? And I'll say, it's the greatest wedding you've ever seen.
You're just like big brothering your life. You know that Great Britain TV show?
Yeah.
Where like they record 24/7. Like
yeah, I really like being transparent about all my thoughts and feelings, because it kind of nullifies anybody who wants to like attack me, because they're just because if I'm a mirror to them and I'm totally transparent, they can only basically respond in kind, which is love. If you really do love your neighbor, you'll never suffer the injustice of the anti-love. If you really contain love and joy, you're undefeatable. It's the greatest contentment or defensive weapon you can possess, which is love. Love for self, love for neighbor, love for neighbor, love for self. Jennifer, I don't know if you want to say anything. You're probably like, this is a really weird cult room that I happen to walk into called Joy. But that is true. I'm being encouraged to form a cult by my parents because I'm bankrupt. So they're like, why? My uncle was like, why don't you just create a cult and just read Alan Watts all day long? And I'm like, that's exactly what I'm doing. So anyways, let us continue on. Enjoy, love now. Invite people to the room. Join the house and cash in your pink ticket in the House of Joy, because we are going to take you on a journey of love into the now. Right now, you will experience total joy, total love, and total now. You are the now. You are the love. You are the joy. Say after me, I am joy. I am love. I am now. Ding!
And you'll get happy, happy hair.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I wanted to change my alias to Dandruff and put Diego's picture.
Well, if you want, just change your name to Head and Shoulders.
Yeah, we can do that, but I have to wait one day until I can change my alias again. But I want to do something like this, and I'm gonna put Diego's picture again.
Happy hair, happy hair,
Happy hair.
happy, 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 happy hair. Do you suffer from dandruff? Head and Shoulders is a new formula dedicated to getting rid of dandruff. Happy hair, happy
I
hair,
need to
happy,
watch
happy, happy
every
hair.
post. Sorry, I'm talking over you.
It's okay. I have happy hair. Happy hair, happy
Don't you
hair.
think the
Happy,
purple
happy,
with
happy,
the green
happy
so
hair.
nice together?
Huh?
It brings me a lot of the purple and the green so nice together. It brings me a lot of joy. Like the purple from your pictures and my picture. I like them together.
Yeah, I was reading about a meditational practice that says to visualize violet. When you close your eyes and you have a candle in front of your eyes, it's a great way to do a meditation where light a candle, close your eyes, and then focus on that light, that comes through the candle and visualize it and utilize it and turn it into a violet. It's kind of an interesting experiment to do because you're really using your imagination. And, in many ways, your imagination is like a 3D simulator. It kind of is like that movie, The Matrix, when he's fighting with Morpheus. They're able to use their minds to just create in the hologram whatever they want. So you can utilize your brain as a hologram in the same way that you do 3D renderings in AutoCAD for engineering and for floor planning. You could, if you're really smart, you could sit there and build mechanical engineering things in your imagination. I really think that's how most people do visualize the finished product. Like if you're an engineer or a home builder, they see it in their mind's eye. They utilize their mind as like a hologram. It's a meditation. I do it when I meditate or when I do yoga. I'm sitting there thinking about mostly relationships. And then if I'm in the hot tub or the bathtub, I'm also generally thinking about relationships. It's interesting how relationships are actually the dominant form of like cognitive processing as opposed to any type of creative endeavor for a lot of people or business endeavor, etc. So your brain is a computer or a tool, and if you can have like a third awareness, you can really psyop and hack your brain to accomplish what you really want to dream up in your imagination. It's action plus imagination plus will equals you, Y-O-U, with the capital Y. It's just a way to like enhance your productivity. That's all I'm really offering anybody. Because like I went to a rabbi once and I was crying and I was like, I don't know what to do. And I'm like, can I make tzedakah? And can you tell me what to do? I gave him $100. He said, go home and be creative. He didn't say be creative. He said be productive, which is really a form of creativity or the expansion of creation. So, okay, so joy, joy, joy. I love the minion we have. I'd like to get it to 10. So invite 10 people now. 10's the magic number. 10, not 11. 10, not 9. Remember, there's 613 mitzvot, which totals up to the number 10. 10, not 11. 10, not 9. Okay, this is going to be the last portion of my reading for you guys, and then I am going to kill my live stream or end it, and then I am going to go to the gym. So it's fun being with you here, and I will be back in a couple hours, and then I'm going to do an evening therapy session of joy. I hope you will join me back in the House of Joy, and I want to thank you all for participating. Your likes, your shares, your comments, your invites to people, your moderation. Look, you guys are all moderators, and there's a lot of people scanning the hallway. They see the House of Joy, the Room of Joy, Love Now, and they can't even come in here because they're so addicted to getting their dopamine feedback loop off. And I understand that. People want to get high. But get high in here with high wisdom, with high intelligence. Don't get high, with essentially people that just talk about Jews all day long because they themselves are depressed and they themselves are full of anxieties and they don't study God. They don't study wisdom. They don't study knowledge. So I hope my profile, I hope my actions, I hope my books, I hope my live streams are all being utilized to help you come to a higher state of consciousness, or what you might call nirvana, enlightenment, or samadhi, or joy. There's a difference. We just read in Tanya how the difference between joy and happiness. Happiness is dependent upon your circumstances. Joy is the faith or love or knowledge of God. It's philosophy. Philosophy, when you break up those words, it's wonderment. It's not a wonderment of knowledge or wonderment of wisdom. So, wow. That's the whole thing. Joy is wow. God is wow. You are wow. That's what I'm trying to hypnotize you with, so you'll be happy. And you're going to meet a lot of unhappy people on your journey now as a Sith Lord. Okay? You are all now brothers and sisters in the secret order of the Lords of Saturn. That's right. You are all now Satanist Luciferians. Congratulations. You're all trans. Cut your penises off, mangle up your vaginas, and prepare for the next level of human evolution. A sexless, joyless, demonic apocalypse. I'm just joking. Okay, so the whole point is, I don't think you guys have to worry about nuclear bombs going off. I don't think you have to worry about the homeless problem. I don't think you need to worry about the Zav problem and the injections and the cocktails. I don't think you need to worry about anything. I think you have to accept the fact that the human race has organized a system which is so ruthlessly efficient that even worrying about it, as opposed to trying to ride the wave like a surfer, it's to your detriment. So you don't really need the books to get on the wave, but the best way to become a good surfer is to study books. Welcome, Rayabya. Didn't want to stick around. He wanted instant dopamine feedback loop. I think he took a look at the stage and was like, yeah, if I raise my hand, it's not going to give me as high of a dopamine loop feedback as another room. So he quickly ran to another room where he could get that higher dopamine bump. Okay. So let me grab the book that I'm going to read to you. And I think it'll be a powerful hypnosis for you. I guess I'm just going to read to you from the Order of the Golden Dawn Tarot deck. This is by Robert Wang. This is called the Golden Dawn Tarot, based on the esoteric designs of the Secret Order of the Golden Dawn. Illustrated by Robert Wang under the direction of Israel Regardier. Forward by Stuart Kaplan. Okay, I hope this reading is beneficial for you. I'm not going to read you the foreword or the introductory remarks. I'm just going to go straight into the analysis. This will teach you how to do a tarot card reading if you actually want to do tarot cards. But again, this is mostly a hypnosis. The 15-card method of tarot divination. This method is not so well known as the ancient Celtic 10-card spread, but it has the advantage of depending upon neighboring cards for interpretation, eliminating the need for reversed cards, offering an enormous number of possible card combinations and being more fluid than other methods. Before any divination, it is wise to invoke some higher force. In its simplest form, this may involve visualizing a sphere of brilliant white light over one's head and a prayer that the divine powers may guide the operation of the cards. Following this invocation, the cards should be thoroughly shuffled. This is the most important step in a divination and should be done with the mind as clear as possible. All extraneous thoughts should be eliminated and the mind made completely passive. In the event that the divination is for a person not present, It may be helpful to visualize that person as the shuffling is taking place. The cards are then placed on a table in the sequence shown in the diagram. Card number 1. This represents the querent, the problems surrounding him, and his present situation and primary influences. A court card, king, queen, prince, or princess, in this position may mean either the querent or some dominant individual. This is especially true if the court card is of the opposite sex of the querent. A person of the same sex, but very unlike the querent, see general court card descriptions, may also represent a dominant influence in his life. Cards 2 and 3. These positions in conjunction with card 1 are the key cards in the spread. They give extended information on the situation and personality of the querent. Cards 4, 8, and 12, upper right. These show what direction the querent's life will naturally follow, unless some action is taken to change this course. The stars impel, they do not compel. Cards 13, 9, and 5, upper left. These are the possibilities for alternative action, which may be desirable or undesirable, depending on the other cards in the spread. Cards 14, 10, and 6, lower left. These cards will assist the querent in making whatever decision may be necessary. In the case of an older person, one past middle age, they mean past activities and events which bear on the question. In younger persons, they indicate the future. Cards 7, 11, and 15, lower right. These show forces operating beyond the control of the querent which cannot be changed, but to which one can adapt. See, I think this is basically like a computer program using occult pictures. It's a picture book, but they're using it in a way as to like make it into an AI chat bot, basically. While a method of reversed cards is not recommended, if such a system is to be used, the position of the card should under no circumstances be altered. If a card should appear reversed, it cannot be arbitrarily turned upward, even though the meaning may not immediately appear logical. One cannot tamper with the results of a divination. Beyond the general meanings of the cards, which follow here and which should be committed to memory, a few considerations of interpretation should be mentioned. The princess and queens, when they appear on a reading, most invariably represent actual men and women connected with the subject at hand, but the kings sometimes represent either the coming on or going off of a matter, arrival or departure, according to the way in which the cards face. The princesses may show opinions, thoughts, or ideas either in harmony with or opposed to the subject. Using any method, a majority of certain cards has special meaning. A majority of wands, energy, quarreling, opposition. A majority of cups, pleasure and merriment. Majority of swords, trouble and sadness, sometimes sickness, even death. Majority of pentacles, business, money, possessions, etc. Majority of trumps, forces of considerable strength, often karmic forces beyond the inquirer's control. A majority of court cards, society, meeting with many persons. A majority of aces, strength generally. The aces are always strong cards. This is interpretation of the major arcana. 0, the Fool. Idea, thought, spirituality, that which endeavors to rise above the material. If the subject which is inquired about be spiritual. If the divination refers to a material event of ordinary life, this card is not good and shows folly, stupidity, eccentricity, and even mania. Unless offset by very good cards, it is too ideal and unstable to be generally good in material things. Number 1, the Magician. Skill, wisdom, adaptation, craft, cunning, etc. Always depending on neighboring cards, sometimes occult wisdom. The High Priestess. Number 2, change, alteration, increase and decrease, fluctuation, whether for good or evil, is shown by cards connected with it. Compare with death and the moon. 3, the Empress. Beauty, happiness, pleasure, success, also luxury, and sometimes dissipation, but only if with very evil cards. 4, the Emperor. War, conquest, victory, strife, ambition. 5, the Hierophant. Divine wisdom, manifestation, explanation, teaching, differing from, through resembling in some respects, the meanings of the magician, the hermit, and the lovers, occult wisdom. 6, the lovers. Inspiration, passive and in some cases mediumistic, thus differing from that of the Hierophant, magician, and hermit. Motive, power, and action, arising from inspiration and impulse. 7, the Chariot. Triumph, victory, health, success, though sometimes not stable or enduring. 8, strength. Courage, strength, fortitude, power not arrested in the act of judgment, but passing on to further action. Sometimes obstinacy. Compare with justice. 9, the Hermit. Wisdom sought for and obtained from above, divine inspiration, but active as opposed to that of the lovers. In the mystical titles, this card and the Hierophant and the Magician comprise the 3 Magi. 10, Wheel of Fortune. Good fortune and happiness within bounds, but sometimes also a species of intoxication with success, if the neighboring cards bear this out. 11, Justice. Eternal justice and balance, strength and force, but arrested as in the act of judgment. Compare with strength. Also in combination with other cards, legal proceedings, a court of law, a trial at law, etc. 12, the Hanged Man. Enforced sacrifice, punishment, loss, fatal and not voluntary, suffering generally. 13, Death. Time, ages, transformation. Sometimes death and destruction, but rarely the latter, and only if it is borne out by the cards with it. Compare also with the High Priestess. 14, Temperance. Combination of forces, realization, action, material. Effect either for good or evil. 15, the Devil. Materiality, material force, material temptation, sometimes obsession, especially if associated with the lovers. 16, the Tower. Ambition, fighting, war, courage. Compare with the Emperor. In certain combinations, destruction, danger, ruin, fall. 17, the Star. Hope, faith, unexpected help, sometimes also dreaminess, deceived hope, etc. 18, the Moon. Dissatisfaction, voluntary change as opposed to death, error, lies, falsehoods, deception. The whole according to whether the card is well or ill dignified, on which it much depends. The Sun, number 19. Glory, gain, riches, sometimes also arrogance, display, vanity, but only when surrounded by very evil cards. 20, Judgment. Final decision, judgment, sentence, determination of a matter without appeal on its plane. 21, the Universe. The matter itself, synthesis, world, kingdom, usually denotes the actual subject of the question and therefore depends entirely on the accompanying cards. Suit of Wands, Ace of Wands, force, strength, rush, vigor, energy. This card governs. according to its nature, various works and questions. It implies natural as opposed to invoked force. Two of wands influence over another. Dominion, boldness, courage, fierceness, shamelessness, revenge, resolution, generosity, pride, sensitivity, ambition, refinement, restlessness, turbulence, sagacity, yet unforgiving and obstinate according to dignity. Three of wands, pride and arrogance, power sometimes, established force and strength, realization of hope, completion of labor, success of the struggle, pride, nobility, wealth, power, conceit. Four of wands, settlement, arrangement completed, perfected work, a completion of a thing built up with trouble and labor, rest after labor, subtlety, cleverness, mirth, beauty, success in completion, reasoning faculty, conclusions drawn from previous knowledge, unreadiness, unreliable and unsteady, through over anxiety and hurriedness of action, graceful in manners, at times insincere. Five of wands, strife, quarreling, fighting, violent strife and contest, boldness and rashness, cruelty, violence, lust and desire, prodigality and generosity, depending on whether well or ill dignified. Six of wands, gain and success, victory after strife, success through energy and industry, love, pleasure gained by labor, carefulness, sociability, and avoiding of strife, yet victory therein. Also insolence, pride of riches, and success, etc., the whole depending on dignity. Okay, I'm going to take a reading break here, and then I'll finish up the rest of this little booklet. It's a very powerful, direct neurolinguistic program. And if you do shuffle the cards and you want to sit there and think about this, I mean, to me, I can't really put all this in my memory. So it becomes like a spoken word, but I think that that's the point, is you do the work. If you want to do a tarot card reading for somebody, you can't rely off of your memory. I could just give you a link to the book. You listen to what I just read. I would never bother reading to somebody from the book if I already have a link to what I read. So I could say, here's the link. Here's the interpretation of everything I just, but then I'll give you my version, which is like a consultation. So this is why you should read the book. You don't need to submit it to memory. As long as you make a recording of it, that is the memory. And I'll be right back. I'm going to go make a coffee. If somebody else wants to read, go ahead. But I will be back in about 3 minutes. Joy, joy, joy. Okay, joy, joy, joy. This is Joy Love Now. I'll be right back. And then if you want, we could call Brian Sellers and see if he wants to join in on this hypnosis session. He's probably going to say no, but yeah, just want to call, say hello, say good shot. I have an espresso maker, and I gotta tell you, it's so nice having instant coffee. Okay, let's call someone and spread a little joy. Actually, let's call this chick. We were supposed to go out on a date tonight, and she just canceled on me. Her name is Ruby. I think she's a fraud or like a prostitute or a fake.
Your call has been forwarded to voicemail. The person you're trying to reach is not available. At the tone, please record your message.
She wrote, "It's rough. Feeling drained. Can we rain check till tomorrow? I really need to get a reload on my social battery." Hey Ruby, this is John. Just hoping and wishing you have a lovely Friday evening, and look forward to talking to you soon. And maybe tomorrow will work. Hope you have a great rest of your evening. Bye. Is that like passive aggressive? Now I sound like Dr. Jordan Shaw, second guessing myself. See, I just want to spread joy. Happy hair, happy hair. Happy, 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 happy hair. Do you have dandruff? This is Head and Shoulders. Oh, hair shampoo formula. Happy hair. Brian.
Yeah.
Hey, welcome to the House of Joy. You are in Joy Love Now with 4 other Joy clones. I don't even know who these people are anymore. But we've created a minion of joy, and we just wanted to call you to wish you joy.
Cool. Can I talk to you later?
Okay, sounds good.
All right, bye.
Bye. See, Joy Team, Joy to the 4th, we're spreading joy. Let's call Scott real quick. Some of you may know Scotty. He's a real degenerate Catholic.
Hello?
Scott.
Yo.
Hey, this is John, aka Edmund Dakin. I go by Joy now.
Oh, nice, dude. What happened to the other name?
They deleted me. I don't know why.
All right, so you still have Roger Mayhem back. Okay.
Yeah, go to rogermayhem.com right now to see me live on YouTube.
Dude, I told Jane and her husband that you did that Roger Mayhem. They love it.
Tell Jane I want to film a podcast and make a movie about Roger.
I love it.
You know, I know where he lives. I've seen his LinkedIn.
Where's he live?
I'd have to look at my screenshots. I can't remember. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's him. John
Hickman is his real name.
John Hickman? Yeah.
Sean Hickman.
Sean Hickman. Yeah, I think that's what I saw. I could look.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's on LinkedIn. He works for Salesforce.
What's Salesforce?
It's a CRM. It's a software company.
Right. Nice.
Sean Hickman, yeah. Exactly. You know how I figured it out? Because he said like something about his city council. I Googled it and like he was just immediately came up. But anyways, I don't have anything against him. I don't know, just curiosity. But anyways, what are you doing today? Happy Friday. You are on the Joy Love Now show in the House of Joy, and 4 other people have changed their name to Joy. And we are just calling you to spread joy and to wish you joy and, to see how you are and see what's new.
Shalom and home, bro.
From the heart, heart to heart.
Shlomoyim,
Reboina Shaloilim, good Shabbos, Gekachen Lichtig in Leinoigen.
Yeah, man, I love it. I'm not doing much. I'm going over the critical thinking 105.
Well, come into the House of Joy sometime. I would like you to be a guest speaker to my minion of joyful seekers.
Well, just ping me in and I'll come.
Okay. I will.
All right, buddy.
Okay, take care. Have a great evening and talk to you soon.
Hey, buddy. Later.
Bye. See, we're spreading joy. He didn't sound too enthused. What do you think? Okay, let's call Yael. This is what I call offline conditioning. See, Roger Mayhem thinks he's such a great salesman.
You have reached Somebody Joe. After leaving a message, you can hang up or press pound for more options.
Hey Yael, gekachen lichtig in dein Eugen, Fushta, and good Shabbos, Rabboni Shalom, give me a call back, Yashakoa. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye. Okay, let's call my lawyer. And then we'll call Diego. That'll really wrap it up.
Your call has been forwarded to an automatic voice message system.
Uh-oh. Ken may have dried out. Okay, let's call Diego. This will be the last Clubhouse call.
Leave a message after the beep.
Hey Diego, this is Joy in the House of Joy, wishing you joy, love now. I'm here with 3 other joyful people. If you can break away from the cult of Diego temporarily, come on in sometime and I'll ping you in. Anyways, call me or text me back if you want to just join the live stream via cell phone. And then you can invite Princessia to the YouTube live and she can have a mental conniption fit. Anyways, hope you have a great evening. Talk to you soon. Bye. Anybody else we could call? Let's see here. Oh, let's call Zach De La Ruta. Maybe he changed. Oh, he's Zach now on the Clown House.
Yeah.
Zach, good Shabbos. Rabboni Shalom. Yashikoa, you are in the Joy Love Now room in the House of Joy with 3 other clone joys. I'm wondering if you could help join our minion in a little bit, if you're available to read some Tanya.
Right. I could. I'll tell you, tomorrow I'm going to be in the Dubai airport for 9 hours.
Oh, I see. Oh, okay.
But tonight is my last night. My girlfriend, I just heard the front door. My girlfriend come home. I'm going to go to jiu-jitsu with the girlfriend. My girlfriend does jiu-jitsu,
Yeah.
But I like the Tanya. I've only packed several books to Israel, and the Tanya is one of them.
Oh, great.
So I'm going to do it, but I can't do it right now. I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, good Shabbos. Good Shabbos, Rabboni Shalom. Talk to you soon, and safe travels always.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, take care. Bye-bye. Safe travels always. That's what I like to tell people. Okay, we're going to call Brittany. This is my sister. Sister number 2?
Please leave your message for 8473.
That's my sister's friend, Brittany. I think you guys are going to love her. She's going to be a very funny addition to the podcast. Okay, this is my friend Ryan. This is a Dindu.
Your call has been forwarded to voicemail. The person you're trying to reach is not.
Okay, never mind. Okay, let's call Walter. This is my Chicago GOP counterpart.
Please leave your message for Walter.
Did you hear him? Walter. That was funny. Okay, we're going to call Max. Oh, that girl wrote, oh, that made my day. Okay, let me call Max. This is Mr. Yashikoa himself, the descendant of the world famous Rebbe.
Your call has been forwarded.
I actually like it when people don't pick up because it's like they're pointing out my own philosophy. I feel like if you're a good educator, people become better at the game than you, and then they stop communicating with you, and it validates your theory about silence. What do you think? Are we all joyful in silence? Happy hair, happy hair, happy, 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 happy hair. Okay, I'm getting ready to go to the gym, and I'm going to finish this coffee and finish this little book, and then I will disperse the joy into the universe. Okay, take the deepest breath of the day. This is the Suit of Wands. 5 of Wands, strife, quarreling, fighting, violent strife and contest, boldness and rashness, cruelty, violence, lust, desire, prodigality, generosity, depending on whether well or ill dignified. 6 of Wands, gain and success, victory after strife, success through energy and industry, love, pleasure gained by labor, carefulness, sociability, and avoiding of strife, yet victory therein, also insolence, pride of riches and success, the whole depending on dignity. 7 of Wands, opposition, sometimes courage therewith, possible victory, depending on the energy and courage exercised, valor, opposition, obstacles, difficulties, yet courage to meet them, quarreling, ignorance, pretense, wrangling, and threatening, also victory in small and unimportant things, and influence over subordinate, depending on dignity as usual. 8 of Wands, swiftness, a hasty communication, letter, message. Too much force applied too suddenly, very rapid rush, but too quickly passed and expended, violent but not lasting, swiftness, rapidity, courage, boldness, confidence, freedom, warfare, violence, love of open air, field sports, gardens, meadows, generous, subtle, eloquent, yet somewhat untrustworthy. Is that Diego? Rapacious, insolent, oppressive, theft and robbery according to dignity. 9 of Wands, great strength, power, health, recovery from sickness, tremendous and steady force that cannot be shaken, Herculean strength, yet sometimes scientifically applied, great success, but with strife and energy, victory preceded by apprehension and fear, health good and recovery, yet doubt, generous, questioning and curious, fond of external appearance, intractable, obstinate. 10 of Wands, cruelty, and malice toward others, oppression, overbearing strength, revenge, injustice, cruel and overbearing force and energy, but applied only to selfish and material ends, sometimes shows failure in a matter and the opposition too strong to be controlled, arising from the person's selfishness at the beginning, ill will, levity, lying, malice, slander, envy, obstinacy, swiftness in evil, if ill dignified, also generosity, self-sacrifice, and disinterestedness when well dignified. Princess of Wands, a young woman with gold or red hair and blue eyes, brilliance, courage, beauty, force, sudden anger or love, desire of power, enthusiasm, revenge, ill-dignified, superficial, theatrical, cruel, unstable, domineering. Prince of Wands, a young man with yellow hair, dandruff, blue or gray eyes, swift, strong, hasty, rather violent, yet just and generous, noble and scorning meanness, if ill-dignified, cruel, intolerant, prejudiced, and ill-natured, and a Jew-hater. Queen of Wands, a woman with red or gold hair, blue or brown eyes. She is steady and resolute, with great power to attract, kind and generous when not opposed. When ill-dignified, she is obstinate, revengeful, domineering, tyrannical, and apt to turn suddenly against another without a cause. King of Wands, a blond or red-haired man with blue or hazel eyes, active, generous, fierce, sudden, and impetuous. If ill-dignified, he is evil-minded, cruel, bigoted, brutal. Suite of Cups, Ace of Cups, fertility, productiveness, beauty, pleasure, happiness. Two of Cups, love, marriage, pleasure, warm friendship, harmony of masculine and feminine and united. Harmony, pleasure, mirth, subtlety, sometimes folly, dissipation, waste and silly action according to dignity. Three of Cups, plenty, hospitality, eating, drinking, dancing, new cloths, and merriment. Abundance, plenty, success, pleasure, sensuality, passive success, good luck and fortune, love, gladness, kindness, and bounty according to dignity. Four of Cups, receiving pleasure, but some slight discomfort and anxiety therewith. Blended pleasure and success, success and pleasure approaching their end, a stationary period in happiness which may or may not continue. This card does not show marriage and love so much as the previous symbol. It is too passive a symbol to represent perfectly complete happiness. Acquisition and contention, injustice sometimes, some drawbacks to pleasure implied. Five of Cups, disappointments in love, marriage broken off, unkindness from friends, whether deserved or not is shown by the nearby cards. Loss of friendship, death or end of pleasures, disappointment, sorrow and loss in those things from which pleasure is expected, sadness, deceit, treachery, ill will, detraction, charity and kindness, ill requited, all kinds of troubles from unexpected and unsuspected sources. Six of Cups, beginning of wish, happiness, success, enjoyment, commencement of steady increase, gain in pleasure, but commencement only, also affront, defective knowledge, and in some instances contention and strife arising from unwarranted self-assertion and vanity, sometimes thankless and presumptuous, sometimes amiable and patient according to dignity. Seven of Cups, lying, deceit, promises unfulfilled, illusion, deception, error, slight success but not enough energy to retain it, possible victory, but neutralized by the supineness of the person, illusionary success, deception in the moment of apparent victory, promises unfulfilled, drunkenness, wrath, vanity, lust, fornication, violence against women, selfish dissipation, deception in love and friendship, often success gained but not followed up, modified by dignity. Eight of Cups, success abandoned, decline of interest in anything, temporary success but without further result, things thrown aside as soon as gained, not lasting even in the matter at hand. Indolence is success, journeying from place to place, misery and repining without cause, seeking after riches and instability according to dignity. Nine of Cups, complete success, pleasure and happiness, wishes fulfilled, complete and perfect realization of pleasure and almost perfect happiness. Self-praise, vanity, conceit, much talking of self, yet kind and lovable, and may be self-denying therewith, high-minded, not easily satisfied with small and limited ideas, apt to be maligned through too much self-assumption, a good, generous, but maybe foolish nature. 10 of Cups. Matters definitely arranged and settled as wished. Permanent and lasting success. Happiness, because inspired from above. Not sensual as 9 of Cups, the lord of material happiness, yet almost more truly happy, pleasure dissipated, debauchery, pity, quietness, peacemaking, kindness, generosity, wantonness, waste, according to dignity. Princess of Cups, a young woman with brown hair and blue-brown eyes, sweetness, poetry, gentleness, and kindness. Imagination, dreamy, at times indolent, yet courageous if roused, ill-dignified, she is selfish and luxurious. Prince of Cups, a young man with brown hair, gray or brown eyes. He is subtle, violent, crafty, and artistic. A fierce nature with a calm exterior, powerful for good or evil, but more attracted by the evil, if allied with apparent power or wisdom. If ill-dignified, he is intensely evil and merciless. Queen of Cups, a woman with gold-brown hair and blue eyes. She is imaginative, poetic, kind, yet not willing to take much trouble for another, coquettish, good-natured, underneath a dreamy appearance. Imagination stronger than feeling, very much affected by other influences, and therefore more dependent upon good or ill dignity than most other symbols. King of Cups, a man with fair hair and blue eyes, graceful, poetic, Venusian, indolent, but enthusiastic, if aroused. Ill-dignified, he is sensual, idle, and untruthful. Ace of Swords, invoked force, is contrasted with natural force. For it is the invocation of the sword, raised upward it invokes the divine crown of spiritual brightness, but ill-dignified it is the invocation of demoniac force. and becomes a fearfully evil symbol. It represents, therefore, very great power for good or evil, but invoked. Also, it represents whirling force and strength through trouble. It is the affirmation of justice, upholding divine authority. It may become the sword of wrath, punishment, and affliction. Two of Swords. Quarrel made up and arranged, peace restored, yet some tension in relationships. Action sometimes selfish and sometimes unselfish. Contradictory characteristics in the same nature, strength through suffering, pleasure after pain, sacrifice and trouble, yet strength arising therefrom. Peace restored, truth, arrangement of differences, justice, truth and untruth, sorrow and sympathy for those in trouble, aid to the weak and oppressed, unselfishness. Also an inclination to repetition of affronts, if once pardoned, of asking questions of little moment, want of tact, often doing injury when meaning well, talkative. What's up, Coach?
No, I just want to say it's an honor to be here with Coach Joy.
Joy, joy, love now.
And we missed you. I thought Diego destroyed you. I'm glad you didn't.
You can't destroy joy. You can't destroy love. It's impossible.
I was nervous because I thought after the Diego gang that we made that he destroyed you because you were off the app, and I got sad. I'm like, I need my coach.
Well, Bull Rush is here.
Yes. And now we have all the joys. Joy is greater than yes. I like the positivity and the support. I need this right now. I do.
Well, this is like this is like a pure hypnosis room. If you go to the Bitcoin room and they're talking about how they just got a macchiato with soy milk in it for their girlfriend who's working from home right now, you could go to a lot of rooms and listen to a lot of stuff. Some people are doing their laundry. Okay, I'm going to take a reading break. Then we'll finish reading this little book. And then I will end the recording. And then I will go to the gym.
Ooh,
Okay, this is the rest of the hypnosis. This is Joy Love Now. Everybody mute your mics, invite people to the room, take the deepest breath of the day. Here we go. Three of Swords, unhappiness, sorrow, tears, disruption, interruption, separation, quarreling, sowing of discord and strife, mischief making, sorrow, tears, yet mirth and evil pleasures, singing, faithfulness in promises, honesty in money transactions, selfishness and dissipation, yet sometimes generous, deceitful in words and repetition, the whole thing according to dignity. Okay, this is called Four of Swords. Convalescence, recovery from sickness, change for the better, rest from sorrow, yet after and through it, peace from and after war, relaxation and of anxiety, quietness, rest, ease and plenty, yet after struggle, goods of this life, abundance, modified by the dignity as in the other cases. Five of Swords, defeat, loss, malice, spite, slander, evil speaking, contest finished and decided against the person, failure, defeat, anxiety, trouble, poverty, avarice, grieving after pain, laborious, unresting, loss and vileness of nature, malicious, slandering, lying, spiteful and tale-bearing, a busybody and separator of friends, hating to see peace and love between others, cruel yet cowardly, thankless and unreliable, clever and quick in thought and speech, feelings of pity, easily roused but unendurable as dignity. Six of Swords, labor, work, journey, probably over water, success after anxiety and trouble, selfishness, beauty, conceit, but sometimes modesty therewith, dominion, patience, labor, according to dignity. Seven of Swords, in character untrustworthy, vacillation, unstable effort, journey probably over land, partial success yielding when victory is within grasp, as if the last reserves of strength were used up, inclination to lose at the moment of gaining by not continuing the effort, love of abundance, fascinated by display, given to compliment, affronts and insolences, and to detect and spy on another, inclined to betray confidences, not always intentional, rather vacillating and unreliable, according to dignity as usual. Eight of Swords, narrow or restricted, shortened force, petty, a prison, too much force applied to small things, too much attention to detail, at expense of principle and more important points, ill-dignified. These qualities produce malice, pettiness, and domineering qualities, patience in detail of study, great ease in some things, counterbalanced by equal disorder in others, impulsive, equally fond of giving or receiving money or presents, generous, clever, acute, selfish, and without strong feeling of affection, admires wisdom, yet applies it to small and unworthy objects. Nine of Swords, illness, suffering, malice, cruelty, pain, despair, cruelty, pitilessness, malice, suffering, want, loss, misery, burden, oppression, labor, subtlety and craft, lying, dishonesty, according to dignity. Ten of Swords, ruin, death, failure, disaster, almost a worse symbol than the Nine of Swords. Undisciplined warring force, complete disruption and failure, ruin of all plans and projects, disdain, insolence, and impertinence, yet mirth and jolly therewith, loving to overthrow the happiness of others, a repeater of things, given to much unprofitable speech, and of many words, yet clever, acute, and eloquent, depending on dignity. Princess of Swords, a young woman with light brown hair and blue eyes, wisdom, strength, acuteness, subtleness in material things, grace and dexterity. If ill-dignified, she is frivolous and cunning. Prince of Swords, a young man with dark hair and dark eyes, full of ideas and thoughts and designs, distrustful, suspicious, firm in friendship and enmity, careful, slow, overcautious, symbolizes Alpha and Omega, the giver of death, who slays as fast as he creates, ill-dignified, harsh, malicious, plotting, obstinate, yet hesitating and unreliable. Queen of Swords, a graceful woman of gray hair and light brown eyes, intensely perceptive, keen observation, subtle, quick, confident, often perseveringly accurate in superficial things, graceful, fond of dancing and balancing, ill-dignified, cruel, sly, deceitful, unreliable, though with a good exterior. King of Swords, a man with dark brown hair and dark eyes. He is active, clever, subtle, fierce, delicate, courageous, skillful, but inclined to domineer, also to overvalue small things unless well dignified, ill-dignified, deceitful, tyrannical, and crafty. Suit of Pentacles, Ace of Pentacles, material gain, labor, power, wealth. It represents materiality in all senses, good and evil, and is therefore a sense illusory. Two of Pentacles, pleasant change, visit to friends, the harmony of change, alternation of gain and loss, weakness and strength, ever varying occupation, wandering, discontented, with any fixed condition of things, now elated, now melancholy, industrious, yet unreliable, fortunate through prudence of management, yet sometimes unaccountably foolish, alternatively talkative and suspicious, kind yet unwavering, kind yet wavering and inconsistent, fortunate in journeying, argumentative. Three of Pentacles, business, paid employment, commercial transactions, working and constructive force, building up, erection, creation, realization, and increase of material things, gain in commercial transactions, rank, increase of substance, influence, cleverness in business, selfishness, commencement of matter to be established later, narrow and prejudiced, keen in matter of gain, modified by dignity, sometimes given to seeking after the impossible. Four of Pentacles, gain of money and influence are present, assured material gain, success, rank, dominion, earthly power completed but leading to nothing beyond, prejudiced, covetous, suspicious, careful and orderly, but discontented, little enterprise or originality, altered by dignity as usual. Five of Pentacles, loss of profession, loss of money, monetary anxiety, loss of money or position, trouble about material things, toil, labor, land cultivation, building, knowledge, and acuteness of earthly things, poverty, carefulness, kindness, sometimes money regained after severe toil and labor, unimaginative, harsh, stern, determined, and obstinate. Six of Pentacles, success in material things, prosperity in business, success and gain in material undertakings, power, influence, rank, nobility, rule over people, fortunate, successful, just, and liberal. If ill-dignified, may be proud, insolent from success, or prodigal. Seven of Pentacles. Unprofitable speculation and employment, little gain for much labor, promises of success unfulfilled, loss of apparently promising fortune, hopes deceived and crushed, disappointment, misery, slavery, necessity and baseness, a cultivator of land and yet is loser thereby. Sometimes it denotes slight and isolated gains with no fruits resulting therefrom, and of no further account, though seeming to promise well, honorable work undertaken for the love of it, and without desire of reward, according to dignity. Eight of Pentacles, skill, prudence, cunning, over careful in small things at the expense of the great, penny wise and pound foolish, gain of ready money in small sums, mean, avariciousness, industrious, cultivation of land, hoarding, lacking in enterprise. Nine of Pentacles, inheritance, much increase of money, complete realization of material gain, inheritance, covetousness. Treasuring of goods and sometimes theft and knavery, all according to dignity. Ten of Pentacles, riches and wealth, completion of material gain and fortune, but nothing beyond, pinnacle of success, old age, slothfulness, great wealth, yet sometimes loss in part, and later heaviness, dullness of mind, yet clever and prosperous in money transactions. Princess of Pentacles, a young woman with rich brown, red-brown hair, dark eyes. She is generous, kind, diligent, benevolent, careful, courageous, preserving. If ill-dignified, she is wasteful and prodigal. Prince of Pentacles, a young man with dark brown hair and dark eyes, increase of matter, increase of good and evil, solidifies, practically amplifies things, steady, reliable. If ill-dignified, animal, material, stupid, in either, slow to anger, but furious if aroused. Queen of Pentacles, a woman with dark hair and dark eyes. She is impetuous, kind, timid, rather charming, great-hearted, intelligent, melancholy, truthful, yet of many moods, ill-dignified. She is undecided, capricious, foolish, changeable. Hold on, this is the last one. King of Pentacles, a man with dark eyes and dark hair. Unless very well dignified, he is heavy, dull, and material. laborious, clever, and patient in material matters. If ill-dignified, he is avaricious, grasping, dull, jealous, not very courageous, unless assisted by other symbols.
Coach Joy, I just want to say you are doing God's work. Not well. Here's the thing. You're the hero. You're the hero that we need, but we don't deserve. And I just want to ask for forgiveness because I need this enlightenment. Like, I need the meditation. I need the coaching, the hypnosis to get to the next level in life, and to seek true enlightenment. So thank you.
Okay, this is Joy Love Now. Thank you for coming. I knew you were going to come. And I hope you come again. Namaste. And thanks for coming.